Okay, it is 5 o'clock. I will call the meeting to order. Pursuant to MGL 7C 30A, Section 20F, after notifying the chair of a public body, any person may make a video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of the public body, may transmit the meeting to any media. Beginning the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any such recordings. Meeting is being recorded by the town, Berkshire Edge, and CTSB. Any member of the public wishing to speak at the meeting must receive permission of the chair. A listing of agenda items, those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. Since this is a hybrid meeting for our members, we'll do a roll call vote. First is select board. Ben.
Here.
Garfield.
Yeah.
Bill. Here. Aaron. Here. And Steve. Present. Rich.
And for Finance Committee, I am here, Rich Geiler.
Michelle Beer, here.
Anne,
Here.
Elena,
Here.
Madonna,
Here.
we're all present.
Thank you very much. And we will turn it over with a discussion of FY 27 capital budget request and a little calendar update to our town manager.
Sure, there was a, thank you, Steve, and, so tonight is our capital budget, beginning of that, and thank you also for your time and energy that you spent last week on the operating 2 nights of a lot of discussion and content to absorb, and, round 2 / I guess, day 3 of, budgets, for tonight. I know that there is in the action calendar, as you know, it is always labeled draft in case we need flexibility, and there is some room and capacity between tomorrow night and the next action item, which is where the public hearing, this is the next joint meeting, is actually the public hearing. So there is an opportunity for first of all, having additional workshops or pre-meetings before the actual public hearing that I would like to get a consensus from both boards if you feel that it is necessary to have an additional workshop before we go into an actual public hearing. And then also there is a opportunity that we can shift the public hearing to the week before, because I know that there's some conflicts with scheduling. That I believe some members may not be available on the actual 14th. That we should really have a full quorum, or actually a full presence of both bodies. So I'd like for the boards to at least look at the week before to see if we could shift the public hearing to anywhere between Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. And
And so,
which would be
April 7th would be the Tuesday,
Thank you, Steve.
8th and the 9th. So my thought would be we would do the public hearing, finance committee. Our discussion would start after that in votes, and then schedule another meeting after that in case we needed it. So like the 7th and 9th, 7th and 8th, 8th and 9th. That would give us plenty of time.
Can you go over that again, Steve?
Yeah,
I'm
so
kind of lost on
We'll
it.
have a public hearing.
On the
we-
fourth.
No, we would move it to April 7th.
Oh,
This is a draft calendar, so we're talking.
right,
moving
that's
it.
what I'm just.
Yeah, we're not, if people are available, we're talking about moving it to the 7th or 8th. And then usually what happens, at least in other years, is we wait till the public gives us our opinion, then we start our votes. And I think this year it may take 2 meetings to get through all the votes. So we'll start after the public hearing, assuming that there's time, and usually there is, and then 1 more meeting at least.
So we would still work with April 14th.
No,
for
April 14th out.
altogether, but I thought we would meet after the public hearing.
So we could meet at the public.
Oh, you mean it would be a different date?
It could be the 8th.
Oh, I see, okay, oh, I see, okay,
Yeah.
all
I
right.
prefer stay away from Thursday. I don't have
That's
my
fine.
calendar with me just because of other meetings going on a Thursday night.
Sure.
7th and 8th are good for me.
Yeah, I cannot do Tuesday. I would have to do Wednesday. Yeah.
Michelle, you sure you have other meetings on Thursday?
I'm checking my calendar
Okay.
now, yeah.
Um,
If there's planning board on, is there Chris?
Oh.
on?
That's the 9th.
Planning board the ninth?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're not on the planning board.
I know I'm not, but I go to the planning board, but.
Right,
if
but I go to a lot of meetings, I'll miss those.
Yeah, but I'm not going to miss the planning.
Yeah.
What
I
about
mean,
this? What about the 7th and 8th?
Yes.
Well, we can't do
I
Tuesdays.
cannot do Tuesday.
Oh,
You can do Tuesday or, oh, I can do Wednesday.
Yeah, but-
The
Yeah, we
8th.
can do Wednesday. Yeah, I could do
Well,
Wednesday.
let's start with the
Is
8th.
there any reason why we can't use the 14th as one of those 2 dates?
So let's get one down first. So yeah, I agree with you, Rich. So let's see, can we do the public hearing on the 8th?
Yes. Can I take a vote from finance committee?
I'm looking at my work schedule right now. I'm trying to,
Okay,
I got a little blindsiding on this, so
right,
I have another life.
indeed,
We all do,
we all do.
yeah.
We don't have a calendar in front of me. What day is the 8th?
The Wednesday.
8th?
Wednesday.
Wednesday, maybe.
Wednesday, yeah. Mhm.
I'll make it happen on the 8th. I'll try.
The 8th
I'll
would be a go for all of us,
And
Anne, including Anne.
Oh, yeah.
everyone to my right here? And Ben
Yeah.
and Garfield, the 8th?
8th works
It's
for me.
fine. We don't have a time yet, though. You haven't
It'll be
been
5:00.
5 o'clock.
Okay, so the public hearing would now be the 8th at 5. So we can't do the 9th. We could do the 14th for our second meeting, Tuesday, no, you can't do Tuesday.
No, but we originally had it in our calendar.
We had it in the
Yeah.
calendar.
So
Yeah,
it's
I could do that Tuesday.
Okay, so
I
the
could do that.
14th would be a follow-up meeting.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And you were suggested, Steve, if I remember correctly, that two possible dates after the public hearing. Am I understanding?
We could.
Yeah.
I don't remember saying that, but yeah, I have no problem with that.
Just so that we can clear a date
Exactly.
now, what is the 15th like for everyone? Just as a possible tentative second date if needed.
Again,
I'm
sorry, I don't
I
have my
couldn't.
work schedule with me and I have an obligation to Lennox as well, so.
yeah, so we are not doing that March meeting that we had in the calendar at all.
Walmart meeting.
So there
March
was like.
we had a March
Yeah,
23rd meeting, yeah.
23rd, yeah.
And that's actually a select board meeting.
And it's to go over the
Warrants.
warrant article.
Right, that was, so,
So that's a
that's for
yeah.
select board, I
So
see,
that's
okay,
not a joint-
not
Yeah.
our meeting, okay.
So the 23rd is our finance committee meeting?
No, the 20th.
No, that's
23rd is
select
just a
board
select board meeting.
Oh,
which
okay,
we did the
yeah,
warrant.
okay,
Yeah.
Yes,
that's what I thought,
Yes.
okay.
So far we have, the 8th, Wednesday, the 8th agreed to for
correct.
the, public meeting.
Public hearing, yes.
And then the 14th as a second day of
Correct.
discussion.
And
I will
it
not be able
sounds
to
like-
make the 14th.
That's right, you can make the 14th.
Mm,
I should have known that. So we're going back to the 8th or 9th, the 9th.
Okay,
What time does planning board start?
Usually it's 6, but, you know, that can. We'll work around it.
Because we'll be in this room before that move there.
Well,
Yeah, I'll do a little, do one of these circling around.
so when do we need to be done with all this? What is the, your,
14th,
that's really the date you need,
yes.
you do, okay.
I think it would be smart to have a couple extra meetings. Penciled in at least, cross them out.
I don't know.
So that either gives us the 7th or the 9th.
I'm free on both of them.
Yeah, we.
I'm
were-
also free on both of those.
I mean,
I'm
I do
okay
take
on the
handouts,
9th, yeah.
I could do the 7th.
I hate to miss hands,
So-
but that's okay.
What about the 13th? Is that a select board meeting day?
No, it's too late. It has to be done by the 14th.
14th.
I know, I said the 13th.
I'm sorry. 13th, that is a select board meeting. I misunderstood. So. the-
What about the
Well,
6th? Do we have a select board on the 6th?
I have a parks meeting that night. I am on the parks. From a select board point of view, 7th and 9th, are we available? Either of those dates?
I'm free.
The seventh, a Monday,
7th is a Tuesday.
Tuesday and
Thursday.
at Tuesday and Thursday.
We would, I mean, would be very important to have Elena, I think, in our discussions. And you are not available on the 7th.
I'm not available on 7th, yeah.
Select board's available 7th or 9th, so
No,
you
yeah,
guys decide
but-
which one it is.
Yeah, but, yeah,
So Michelle, you're not on the planning.
No, but because of issues,
Mm.
I do. But if I
Well,
can't go, I
Chris,
can't
can
go.
I just, I think Chris said the planning board could be a little flexible. I'm wondering if the planning board could begin at
Would-
5 and then we would begin at 6? Is that an option?
I can't answer for the planning board, sorry.
Oh,
Go ahead and
misunderstood.
schedule a day, or the 9th, I'm sorry.
And
And if I
we'll,
can't
and we'll
be
work
there,
it out. We'll work what we can out. That's very gracious of you.
No, it's
When
what
we're
has to be.
done with this discussion, can we set down the date for sure? I'm not even sure now what they were talking about, because we mentioned 3 or 4 days, so what?
Okay, yeah, that'll get set out, Bill.
I think we're in agreement that the 9th would be better for the finance committee than.
Although I may not be there, yeah.
Can Annie make it on the 9th?
yeah,
Maybe
yeah, I
she
can do
can-
that. I mean, so I'm a
I think
little
just
like, I
Michelle
feel
and
like,
we-
Garfield, so
Yeah.
are we not doing the 14th then?
No, I'm
That's
good
out?
on Thursday, you just cannot choose.
No, 14th is out,
Yeah.
so,
14th is out.
14th, so,
yeah, 14th is
No
out.
follow up on the 14th.
That's why we started this discussion, the 14th was out for a number of people who said.
for public, oh, all right.
Oh, so we doing, so we
Just-
would
just
put
set
it all in
dates,
that way.
Steve.
Okay, all right.
Okay, Liz will send the dates out or have.
So 8th and 9th.
8th and
Yeah.
9th.
So not the 7th, the 8th and the 9th.
8th and 9th,
Yes. Oh.
5 o'clock, both times. 8th.
So that's Wednesday and Thursday?
It's
Yes.
a Wednesday, Thursday, yeah. Mhm.
And they would be both at 5,
Yes,
okay.
If possible, I may come in and out of it, I'll Zoom and have 2 laptops going, come in and out.
It'll
So
be a
8th
challenge.
and 9th. 8th and 9th.
we'll just start again.
Okay, thank you everyone for brainstorming those dates. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen and I'll get started. Okay, so again, thank you for your patience and work and energy for focusing on the budget. Tonight is start of the capital improvement capital plan and capital for FY 27. As you can see from the 2 agendas, tonight we're going to tackle a portion of it. Tomorrow, we have some other things scheduled, including the school budget, but we have DPW, which has a bulk of a lot of different projects, and then we have wastewater, and then a final discussion tomorrow night, kind of wrapping up last week's and this week's items. So tonight, I'm gonna give you kind of an outline on the capital improvement plan, how we actually developed this, and then we'll get into the actual details of each of the projects that I am recommending. When you tab 3 of the capital budget or the budget book explains all of the capital and how the difference between capital improvement plan versus actual capital recommendations and why it's important, as well as part of the financial policies that have been adopted by finance committee and the select board as why it's really important to really develop an actual 5-year capital improvement plan and forecast things and be able to try to be strategic in the planning as well as the financial components of it, necessary to kind of balance out the needs and, as well as our abilities to afford everything. So as you can see in your budget books, that the capital improvement plan, there were a number of different requests that were submitted by the department heads. And we went through a process that I was able to kind of, again, utilize all of the tools that you provided me to balance out between the 5 years, between FY 27 and FY 31. So we could see, as you can see on the slide here, that you can, that we really tried to balance it all out between all of the items that have been requested and wastewater, then community preservation. So there's various funding sources identified, and we're gonna talk about that tonight and tomorrow night. But this shows that this capital improvement and the capital projects actually have a wide range of departments that it supports. It's not just, most people think of capital projects as really predominantly DPW, Public Works. Those are the big ticket or the big cost items, but there are also capital items that are requested by different various departments. And the criteria for, as a reminder, the criteria for a capital item is $15,000 with a life expectancy of 3 years or longer. So in tab 3 on pages 9 and 10 of the budget book, which viewers from home can look at, there is a little bit more detail on the capital improvement plan. You can see kind of the snapshots of each of the individual projects, where we can focus and forecast the expectations and the anticipations of projects that are going to be coming in the future. So in these slides that people can see from home, and you'll have access again online after this evening's meeting, you can see a little bit more detail as to what we're going to be expecting. Police department has cruiser replacements that are traditionally every year, 1 to 2 vehicles a year are replaced. The fire department has some items, facilities, highway, and other departments. So you can, again, get a little bit more detail, see what's coming and anticipate. And this capital improvement plan, as a reminder, capital improvement plans are not set in stone. They are something to forecast, but they can shift around. We can be more strategic. So what is listed in FY 28 is just placeholders. There's to be determined also that can be listed in there. So we don't know the cost at the time, but we know that those are things that are going to be triggered in a capital project coming up that we need to be ready for, and then be also on the lookout for any funding opportunities, grant opportunities, things like that, that we really should be aware of, but not just myself, the whole community should be really aware that we're planning for these things and anticipating them. So when we went through, when all of the capital items were submitted to me, we went through an actual workshop. All the department heads met with me, and we conducted a full day workshop and reviewed every single capital request that was submitted. And they presented, each department head presented in front of their peers. So it was a peer-to-peer review, which is something completely new that was, they had to justify and explain. And then each of the department heads went through an actual rating criteria after all of the workshop was done. And they would evaluate it, submitted their rating criteria to me, which it was completely anonymous, so I didn't see who had rated what things. And then they had a grading scale, which I scored, and you can see in the budget book, the scoring helped determine or help guide me with decisions on where things were really important, not just for what the department had said, but what the whole organization is seen as really important, and seeing how these items are really supportive, interrelated and correlated together, supporting. So from that decision-making process, I utilized again these tools that I mentioned that you have provided me, the financial, strategic priorities and the policy, and also the select board strategic priorities. And I utilize that as my guide to really craft where and how much of capital items that I should be actually moving forward with my recommendation in the budget book. So that being said, this is another slide that you have seen from my February 3rd budget presentation, forecast presentation. These are the criterias that really I had objectives over. I had to stay aligned with the strategies and priorities that you have outlined through our discussions and workshops for the last 4 months that I have been with you. That there are areas that controlling personnel costs, making sure there were workforce initiatives, that we could look at different ways of offering benefits in an alternative manner. Capital remaining within our means as far as prioritizing capital items, as well as making sure that funding sources were in a non-borrowing component, was very critical in my objective. Making sure that we could have dedicated funding for reoccurring, making sure there was reoccurring funds for dedicating towards improving roads and bridges in our infrastructure, and making sure that was continuing to move forward. Not making sure that we had dedicated, again, recurring funding for non-road capital items, but in a smaller capacity of making sure we could commit a solid amount every year on non-road capital items, which we'll talk about tonight. Also making sure that we could build stabilization capacity and also strengthening our reserve fund, which we did talk about last week. So I'm going to go backwards a couple of slides, and all of those elements actually is what you see tonight and what you see on this slide. So these items that are in my recommendations fit all of those criteria in some way or another. And there's funding sources that I've identified in different means, whether it be actual free cash, whether it be Chapter 90, whether it be grant opportunities, and even some of our capital stabilization, which we have a funding source for, but not draining the stabilization fund, but using a small percentage of it, which is actually a very prudent objective that we can utilize. That's why we have it. So moving forward.
Garfield has his hand up.
Yes.
Garfield.
Yes, I do. I was wondering, and it was on the page after this, the $2 million for roads and bridges. Does that include and you tell me I could be way off, but I remember the governor had passed a budget for
roads and bridges tomorrow. We're going over roads and bridges tomorrow night, actually.
Okay. It was mentioned tonight, so I thought, sure, I'll wait till tomorrow.
But I think the question that he's really asking is this 2 million out of does this include like Chapter 90 and other sources of capital funding, or is it only free cash funding? I mean, that's really kind of.
Get to the slide. I'm sorry if I'm giving everybody going too fast. So on the right lower end, you'll actually see that there is roads and bridges actually has down at the very bottom in the gray highlight, there is $2 million of free cash that is going to be dedicated to roads and bridges. There is an additional $660,000 out of Chapter 90 that is being proposed. grants also are somewhat related for these types of projects that have been prioritized. We'll get into the details tomorrow night, actually, of what those projects are. But you can see on this slide, and you can look at it when you get home, and it, for the board members, but these are all color coordinated. So there is items, chapter 90, you'll see matches what's in the list. And the same thing with the grant. So Brush Hill Road Culvert, there is, that is a grant opportunity. Then roadway improvements, right underneath that, 2 lines down at the bottom of the big graph, roadway improvements, 2 out of 6. I am recommending $410,000 out of that to be taken out of chapter 90 funds. And you can see the other items that are in there. So we will talk about that tomorrow, and I'll have that identified so you can see. And not 100% of some of these projects are being recommended. So what the department had recommended initially, I may have amended it in some way. I might have cut it, or I actually thought that there wasn't enough money in there. So I added additional funds, and I could have used multiple different types of accounts to pay for something. So there is, I believe at the very bottom before the orange at the roadwork engineering, 2 projects. I am actually recommending, so DPW had recommended over $1 million. I am only recommending $550,000, and it will be funded from 2 different sources. So that I believe there were multiple projects in that engineering proposal that was wrapped all together, but I have identified and prioritized 2 of them. Does that answer your question, Garfield?
Yes.
Okay, we'll get more into that tomorrow night. This is kind of more of the, not cut and dry ones, but it is all from free cash, sources, okay, for tonight. And, so, were there any questions before I move forward?
Your objectives, I'm sorry,
Yep. go
your
ahead.
objectives of 2 million towards roads and bridges is from free cash. And 1 million non-road capital funding projects, that's your objective.
That also is from free cash.
Right, that's what I
Right.
wanted to be absolutely certain.
Yes, that is actually a very sound business practice for capital planning, very traditional for municipal management of finances. Is that you utilize free cash, not for balancing budgets, but you use it for actual capital items that you don't borrow for, that you can pay upfront for, and you set aside some so you have a nice balance of making sure that your infrastructure, your roads, your bridges are actually invested in and upgraded, and that you can do the maintenance projects and small things that don't require chapter 90 or qualifying for larger projects through Mass DOT. But you make sure that you can really invest in those maintenance projects. And then making sure also that those smaller items that still qualify for a capital project, because it's $15,000 with 3 years of worth of life, because it's very competitive and DPW projects take up a lot of financial resources, it's very hard to be competitive when you have smaller items that are still very important to the operation and for the longevity and meeting the goals and objectives. So you really should have some dedicated funds that are not going to be competitive with the bigger ticket items. So this again is the very sound business practices that I have that I am having as an objective.
I have a question and just kind of a follow quickly on, I mean, you mentioned in the budget some interesting ratios, which I think is really helpful to see those. And so you were talking about the amount of the percentage of the operating budget that should go into the debt service, which I think is very prudent.
Yeah.
But do you also, are you aware that there is a certain level of free cash as a reserve that we should be trying, we may not be able to, but we should be aiming for to keep? Because you are looking, I mean, I totally understand what you're doing here, but at some point we also have to look at the cash reserves in order to maintain the rating.
what my proposal is not draining the free cash. Okay, so I have set aside and there is, I believe, there is 1.5 roughly. Right around 1.5 that is still not accounted
Right.
for. Okay, so that was set aside, we're not using it. And that is something actually that I feel that I need guidance on, and we need to work together on setting a policy
Mhm.
moving forward so that that way we're a little bit more disciplined for FY 28 when we begin building it. We need to look at the actual financial policy and create some kind of roadmap on how we're gonna, like, very detailed of those kinds of questions. Do we want to set aside and not use 10% of the actual balance of the free cash? Do we want to set aside, like I had mentioned in the second to bottom of my objectives, is it the town's interest to set aside 5% of the free cash and put it into the actual stabilization account to build capacity there? Those are the things that I'm doing the guessing work right now for my objectives because I'm just starting, but this needs something this is a policy decision, which requires elected officials to guide.
Right, but I think my question, maybe I was not clear, was more, I'm interested in where the rating agencies are.
Yeah.
I mean, do they have, because they may have some target ratios in mind when they look at the credit worthiness of, any future borrowing. And I don't know, maybe you guys don't have that answer, but maybe we could perhaps ask Ali, your friends, and see at what level should be prudent. Maybe it will be possible, maybe not, I don't know, but I think it would be helpful to know where the rating agencies are.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. But
Thanks.
as of right now, I believe we're setting aside 20, we're reserving and not spending around 20 or 15 to 20% of the free cash
Okay.
that we are on an annual basis turning back. Okay, so that is something that I am not touching because again, I've looked at our accounts, I've looked at everything, and we really need to just have a little piggy bank built right there just just in case. Okay, so, all right, so for tonight's purposes, again, capital improvement plan, we look at 5 years and we're gonna really focus in on what FY 27 and utilizing all of those strategic priorities and the objectives and the policies that you have created for me, and where are my recommendations falling into place. Okay, so the first department is the police department. So what on these slides, just a reminder, the slides that are before you tonight and in the budget book are actually the town manager's recommendations. And again, they may not match actually the background in your budget books. I did not leave anything out. So what each of the capital requests that were submitted that I am recommending, all of the backup material that was submitted to me by the department heads are available in the budget books for you as well as the members of the public to see. So all the plans, all the quotes, everything, all the pictures, you name it, it is all available for public to review. So we have 2 items within the police department's budget or capital items that we are recommending, the cruiser replacements and the body cameras. Good.
Good evening, everybody. Like the town manager just said, 2 items for police this year. One is a standard cruiser replacement. This year, we are looking to replace a cruiser, but this time going with a pickup truck. The pickup truck is coming from 2 different areas. We've kind of sending the gap. The first one is animal control has fallen under our umbrella more than ever, and it's actually kind of been an uptick in activity, call increasing. And officers are using their personal pickup trucks to put the kennel in the back and do some kind of, ACO work, and that's just not sustainable for us as a department. We need a department vehicle for them to use. The second thing is the e-bikes, which have been a huge hit. One was in last year's capital budget. Thank you. They're great, but because they're a little more robust than the mountain bikes, they don't fit on the old school bike rack I had. So I think the pickup trucks would be perfect to put both e-bikes, if we have to either go to an event, maintenance, whatever they have to go somewhere. And then, again, the dog kennels. Those are the two main factors, is going with a pickup truck. I did some quick numbers. The difference between the Ford F-150 and the Ford Explorer using this year's, Greater Boston, collective pricing is an increase of, $2,481. So not a huge difference if we were just getting the standard Ford Explorer, which we'd be getting anyways. Replacing again, this would be for, if approved, then it makes it. By the time we get the car turned around, the current vehicle as of this afternoon, it's a 2022 Ford. It has 93,000 on it. It has 9,233 hours. And that's the huge thing with police cruisers. The mileage isn't really a true indicator of where it's at in its service life. So again, the industry standard is 33 miles per idle hour. So that's about 304,000 miles essentially on the unit. Again, we like to replace them often, as you know very well, because we're here asking for them. We try to hit that 100,000 mile powertrain warranty. Once they get out of warranty and we start having a lot of failures, it gets very, very costly. So that's when we would try to hit that kind of sweet spot.
And I mean, I don't know enough about, police cruisers, but is there any possibility of buying extended warranty for some of those?
So that's the extent,
vehicles?
if you get the 100,000 mile 5 year, that's part of the service plan in the pricing we get. Again, we use Greater Boston.
So you're looking for 5 years for 100 and whichever is higher, yeah, okay.
It's gonna be the 100,000 every time.
Right.
We usually hit 100 right around that 2-year mark. Try to look at making these cars instead of 2-year service life, 4 to a 3-year. But that's just always been a real challenge. Again, it's always a variable too. We've had, huge mechanical failures. We've had motors blown. We do have a crash about once every other year, it seems like. So we do have insurance replacements. There's a little ripple effect. We did lose funding on a cruiser, I think FY20 and then FY23 maybe. So again, that ripple kind of goes down the line. Coincidentally, the car that didn't get replaced last time it was cut was actually then in a crash and it was total, so it was replaced with insurance. So that kind of got it back sort of on schedule, but again, there's always variables.
Our field and then Ben, and then over the way.
Okay. I'm concerned about getting a pickup truck with the mileage and is this town an appropriate town or size to have a pickup truck? And if you could tell me the advantages again, I'd like to hear them because I kind of a little muffled on my end, but I'm not finding a lot of advantages right off the top of my head, other than it being less mileage, and things like that, which are a little upsetting. Well, I can't say upsetting, but maybe not as cost effective. If you could go over again, please, Chief, your positives on this, please.
So the biggest positive with the pickup truck is the actual pickup truck bed. The two things we're gonna likely be using it, that we've been using personal vehicles for, are a dog kennel. Again, we're using a lot of resources for our animal control. And the second is the e-bikes. Those are our bigger battery mountain bikes. We have 2 of them. They just don't go on a bike rack, so this would be the perfect place to put them. And again, overall, I mean, the pickup truck part is extremely useful. Again, we hate every now and then we have to go to DPW and borrow a truck from them, and then essentially they're down a truck for the day. So we're always trying to kind of manage that. I just think it's definitely the appropriate time and the appropriate vehicle to have for us.
And I'm sorry.
Well, you had a second
Yeah,
person.
Ben, you're next, and then we'll go down the line.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Chief. I mean, I see the use case for this. My question, looking through the quote, I don't see any kind of specific materials to meet the different needs that you're talking about. Like I'm just wondering, are there additional costs they'll be looking at for carriers, for the bikes, for animals, any things like that that will kind of be added on to the project cost?
Yep, so we're looking at, it's 2 different dog kennels, and then there's a rack system we priced out. It didn't make it into this exact quote for the vehicle because it can be absorbed in our equipment budget.
Okay. Just curious, rough number on those?
I think the bike rack was somewhere around like $800. It's a rail system that mounts inside the bed, and on the rail system has like wheel clamps. And then the 2 kennels we got, I think we're somewhere around $650. That was just some rough stuff.
You already have the cameras?
No, it was just,
Okay.
we didn't put that into the vehicle budget.
Okay,
But
got it.
knowing what the vehicle would be used for.
Thank you.
I just want to ask, can the vehicle also be used, the way a normal cruiser is used, or would it only be used for those specific things you're talking about?
No, it would be an all-purpose vehicle. You know, again, it's a half-ton F-150, they're.
It still has the capacity for everything you normally
Yep.
need in
No,
your
it's-
cruiser
It's
and
gonna have
everything is
and more.
ready.
Yes,
Okay,
yep, everything and more.
okay, and the other question I have is, I know that we're on a schedule for replacing the cars, and I really appreciate that you're giving us facts about the mileage and the hours on the car, that's great. That hasn't always been the case. And I think we need to see that each time a cruiser is ready to be replaced. But let's say you had a cruiser that you think that in the next year is gonna have to be replaced. What is the timeline between when we have the vote on it and when we actually have to purchase the vehicle? Is there fungible time in there where we can wait to try to get as much use out of the vehicle that we currently have before we actually bite the bullet and pay the money and replace the vehicle, which would make it last a little longer? You know what I'm asking?
So the cruiser that you approved last year for this current fiscal year,
Mhm.
I got a call today that it was in the wash bay. So we'll be taking delivery hopefully within 2 weeks.
So it really takes about a year.
It's about a year, so unfortunately with cars, I mean, I can predict where this car's gonna be
Mm.
pretty closely, but, again, being almost a year out, we always try to, stay ahead of it, because when you fall behind, it's extremely tough.
Takes quite a while. Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
I have a question, and I think what would be helpful for me is to understand, I mean, how many cases do you have when you have to take animals to the animal shelters? I mean, is it something that happens every day, once a month, or, I mean, based on what you have seen, and, you know, not looking for exact number, but just ballpark?
Yeah, I mean, definitely not daily, weekly would be a stretch, I
Mhm.
would say, let's say 5 to 6 times a month, it seems to be occurring.
Okay.
Bill and Michelle. Yes, so Chief, you're getting a quote from something municipal, McGovern Municipal, what is that?
That's one of the biggest outfitters, there's probably 4 or 5, in our area, or not our area, but in Massachusetts that do it. McGovern was the original, MHQ recently was then bought out, so that's just who we've been using for probably 10 years now.
But who's are they the ones that are sort of theoretically getting us the market deal?
So the pricing we have, this is gonna be through the Greater Boston Police Contract. There's Plymouth County and their state, there's 3 different places to pretty much purchase them from. It's a collective purchasing agreement, so it's to the penny.
Okay, thank you, Michelle, and then Madonna.
And this is a super crew cab, so it has passenger capability.
Yeah, it's a
This is
4-door.
done and
Yeah.
everything like that, because I'm seeing these trucks, police trucks all over the place. So it can be utilized as a standard cruiser,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
So when you look at it for the cost, you're getting the maximum use.
Yes.
That's, okay. Thank you.
You brought up some interesting things. You had a lot of crashes. What the hell is going on?
It's
Who's smashing into these cars?
Other people. Again, when you put, several vehicles on the road, 24 hours a day, hundreds of thousands of miles a year, it's just the frequency that we're out there.
It's bad.
Really?
It's
It
junk,
is.
especially.
It's terrible. You're doing a lot of driving.
Well, okay, so I mean, the way you described it, I thought exactly what's going on here. The other thing is you brought up a really interesting point that I had no idea, that sometimes you borrow a truck.
Yes.
So is that something that we can look outside the box and say, hey, you get your cruiser, and we have another vehicle that the police can borrow? I mean, I don't, that's just something. I mean, I like this idea of sharing vehicles.
Yeah, we are gonna talk about that in upcoming items especially for the health inspector's vehicle. But for the police department, they are currently using either the DPW vehicle for transporting the kennel, crated animals. But, which then impacts, as the chief said, impacts DPW operations. So if they are not, and with animal control, it could be something that is a spur of the moment. It's not a planned event. So when DPW has their scheduled events of using a truck for a certain job, and then all of a sudden they're being asked to shift a vehicle that was expected to be on site supporting an operation, and they're now having to transport and have the police department use that vehicle for something else. It is not the best use of operations, and if you're going to, and the reason why I do support this, because it's in my recommendation. So these items that you're seeing tonight are things that I have vetted through and really done full analysis on it. I feel that this is the best bang for your buck. You are getting a vehicle that is much more nimble. So you have a police cruiser that can take passengers. You have an operations that can take e-bikes. And like the chief said, you can utilize it for a bunch of stuff. You can actually utilize it, DPW, police can actually put more things and equipment and shift it over to an emergency management site and do it themselves. Versus waiting for somebody to come assist them, because you actually have an open air truck. It's like a movie. Like, do you want to go and move something and ask for help, or do you want to do it yourself? Like, you're gonna wait for a buddy to, like, you have to buy, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot more bang for your buck with this option. I do like also the 4-wheel truck option for this area of community. The roads, some of these roads that you do have are not all paved. And the 4-wheel and truck with the elevation, as well as for snow, it's a little higher up than the Ford Explorers. There's a lot more opportunity for a vehicle like this. And Rich, I believe you mentioned it, it is becoming more traditional for police to have a variety of vehicles so they can be responsive in various ways when different types of emergencies arise.
I just want to follow up on that, but what you're talking about are trucking around with some dogs in cages and a couple e-bikes. And I,
So amazing.
Those are just two.
okay, so say you have a few goats. No, I'm just
So
teasing.
Eric, that's
But-
fine, we do pill disposal,
Yeah.
probably 6 times a year. That's one of the biggest things they have to borrow a truck for. So there's a lot of things. It's endless.
Put sawhorses in the back.
Right,
If you
right,
either
right,
put,
no.
Like all those kinds of things. It's
Sure, I mean,
very
the
traditional.
convenience of it, there's no doubt that there's
Yes.
a huge convenience to it. But I still like the idea that, I mean, DPW has a lot of trucks. I think they have a bunch of trucks. And I don't know how many they have.
Yeah.
But there's not a single one that's not, an all-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive. I'm not a truck person, but I'm just,
Yeah, so that's one example of using it, but as the chief mentioned, the officers are also using their own personal vehicles.
well, right.
And so.
I
when
don't
there
like
isn't
that.
Something available, right, so this gives them a guarantee that they're more independent. And again, like I said, this option will allow a little bit more, just being nimble with their abilities and resources. So if it's not the actual truck, they need a vehicle regardless.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
So
I'm not
it's gotta be either an Explorer, which is traditional,
Right.
or something a little different that adds to their portfolio of use.
I was just saying, when you expanded the issue and said, well, we borrow. I mean, I'm not in favor of your men, and your troop, police officers using their own personal vehicles. I think we can be better than that. I'm just saying, could we share? Is that something we should be looking at? I mean, I'm not opposed, I'm just putting it out there, I mean, we got a lot of trucks. Right there.
Eric and then Garfield and Michelle.
So just for clarification purposes here, no matter what, we're buying a police car. The Ford Explorer is about $2,500 less is the number you gave than a pickup truck. Correct. This pickup truck possibly could be pulling speeders over, right? It's gonna be an everyday rotation. It's not just gonna be sitting in the barracks until a dog needs a ride to the.
No. This is the fully functional, it's gonna have a.
So basically, we get versatility. 2,600 more dollars than the vehicle that no one would be questioning.
Good.
Right, thank you.
I kind of siding with Eric in that respect, and also with my adversary there, Madonna. I believe in the borrowing. I have a pickup truck. I don't know if this is a great analogy, but I have one, but I only use it for a pickup truck when I need it for a pickup truck. This is something that I personally, I don't know if it's terrible or not, but I sure would like to kind of be on this to see if it really gets to full use if we allow this. I don't see there's anything wrong with borrowing. I don't know if our town warrants really having to have this. I know we're in the country. I know there's skiing and all that good stuff, some funky roads, but I don't know. And Eric talked $2,600, $2,600 more. It doesn't make me happy, and obviously less gas mileage, I'm sure. So I kind of don't mind the borrowing idea. I understand that. I don't want the officers using their own vehicles, but I just, for some reason, I don't know. I just don't see it getting use like it should for the price we're paying if we're paying more for it than a cruiser. That's my opinion. Or whatever.
Again, I like to maximize whatever you buy, whether it's a widget or a cruiser or whatever. I like
Find it fit.
and that sort of thing. So tonight, when I was coming down from Lenox, there was a standard pickup truck stuck in the snow, and there must have been like 6 people trying to get that car, that truck. It had sunk in. Would this vehicle, in a situation like that, be able to pull? We're talking a small pickup truck like what Garfield has.
Like a tow?
Yeah, well, not necessarily tow, because I don't know whether you would have to go, but on a back road somewhere, somebody's stranded, they're stuck. Would this truck be able to do that structurally? I don't know.
It wouldn't be out of the realm.
It wouldn't be.
We'd have to purchase,
In the biggest of emergencies, it could save the day, sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking in, a real dire circumstance with this truck. So, thinking of that, I remember I broke down on the turnpike and the state trooper had the brush guard on the front and pushed my car.
I'm getting that too.
Get a brush guard, yeah, I may need that. So, but again, I don't know. I kind of, because I've seen them all over the place, and obviously it seems to be the culture is turning a little bit. And sometimes I think we do forget when I live on Division Street, paved street, the plow, it's a main drag, and with the bridge, they plow that first. But there's also back roads in Great Barrington.
So-
Not that a regular cruiser couldn't get through there, but I think I feel
I did
safer
very
driving.
last week in State Forest, my personal pickup truck.
Yeah, I believe it,
Today.
yeah.
So it seems to me that this is a budget meeting and the chief has made, I'm gonna agree with Eric, made an overwhelming case for spending $2,481 to buy a pickup truck. And when you think about it, we borrow a DPW truck, that takes an officer out of the line of duty. Because when he's coming back, after he dropped the dog off, if there's a call, he's not showing up in
Yeah.
a pickup truck that's a DPW on it.
With the plow.
Which has no computers in it, he doesn't have anything else. We're actually keeping an officer in a police car,
Yeah,
whether it be a truck or a car. This just makes a whole ton of sense.
yeah, it does.
Also, the truck it's higher standing, this type of truck, so you can see it. It may even be able to guarantee it, less chance of someone hitting it, because it's there.
I won't be happy if it gets hit.
Yeah, well,
Just
well,
say
so-
that.
So it's, we're talking budget, for me, this is like,
Mhm.
the chief has made a great case for this, and I don't even see why we've had a half-hour discussion on this.
Well, because some of us feel like it's not. I personally don't think that it was. I'm not sold on the chief's rationale, which only means me. It doesn't mean anything. I get one vote like everyone else, but I guess I'm not excited about it. I will say that.
Next, I will- Moving on to the bottom here.
So body cameras. Current body cameras we've had online since, September of 2022. Contract is ending and we need to figure out a successor plan for our body cameras. We're currently using the body cameras 3s. That was the latest technology when we got it. It was grant funded, as almost all body cam programs were. And like everything else we found out, it's only for first time initiatives. So now essentially you're stuck holding the bag, and that's just what we are. In the meantime, there's been a couple huge upgrades that have come out, and I'll try to make it, I guess, as brief as I can, and we can dive into it if you'd like to, but I don't want to give a huge thing and then go back. So the three biggest things that the newest body cam have, the first is translation. It's an on-demand, like 50 languages. Translation, like I'm wearing the older one now, but it's a very similar device, and essentially you're pressing a button and it's doing the conversational piece for you, whether you're out in the field, roadside, in someone's home, on a call, wherever. The second biggest thing is gonna be the redaction suite. So we get inundated with public records requests, and body cam is very tough and very time consuming to get it redacted properly to be releasable. This new AI tool, this redaction suite, cuts the time, they tell me, like, tremendously down. So now someone, hey, if I need a 15-minute video, instead of essentially a sergeant, sometimes on overtime, spending 4 hours redacting the video, this AI tool is now speeding that up. So again, a huge time saver. And then the third big piece is another AI tool, which is, they call it Draft One. So say, for instance, myself and another officer on a call, we're there for 47 minutes, we each have a 47-minute video. Once we dock our cameras, the AI tool will give you what they call a first draft of the report. Huge time saver. The biggest thing I'm seeing now is our officers are behind the keyboard a tremendous amount of time. And that leads into, geez, there's a speeding complaint on a certain street, or maybe the stop signs aren't getting enforced, as much as we'd like to see. And I get it, but when I've got 3 officers all day, every day behind a computer typing reports, this could get us back on the street more and more. So those are the 3 biggest things we're seeing, is being helpful. We have a demo unit. Sergeant Ulrich is using it currently. He's had it for like 3 months. He says it works awesome.
Let me start out with a couple of questions. If I was told I would worry about AI, but look, I'm young, I don't worry about that. Facial recognition.
Yep.
That's part of this.
So that's the biggest question we've gotten recently. I think that,
Why I'm asking.
yep, the biggest concern is obviously, privacy and where does everything go? There is no facial recognition in the Axon software. And then everything is maintained, like, we own it. It's ours. It's heavily protected. So it's not going anywhere else. So I think those are the 2 things I hear the most as far as, will my face be somehow put into a database, somewhere up in the clouds? The answer is no, as of right now. Again, the world's a crazy place, but right now there's no facial recognition technology in the Axon software.
So you partially answered my second question. The one we have now, does it upload to the cloud?
Ours is cloud-based as well.
Okay, so it's gonna go the same way ours is going now.
Correct.
It's not, so security is not an issue, it is an issue now.
Nope.
Okay, who else? Go ahead, Michelle.
I did get a chance to watch the videos on this, and I thought it was, initially I said, no way. But I deal with interpretations and translations every day because it's needed more and more and more. And I'm in a school situation, not pulling somebody over or in a domestic situation. And just for the work we do, it's 8,000 to 10,000 a school year for translations and interpretations. And we have a couple tools we use. So when you think about if you're on the road and you're pulling people over and I'm assuming it happens frequently because it happens frequently in my job. When I was watching it, it was amazing. It identifies the language. I think it would make for a more calm situation because I think there's a layer of tension when people don't understand each other because of a language barrier. I think this may alleviate that. I've seen it myself in the work I do, when there's a tool there and people tend to, okay, and you know, misunderstandings go to the wayside. So it just, if you watch the videos, it's it's multi-purpose. And for the cost, but initially when I looked at it, I was opposed to it. And then I saw it and I said, no, this is a valuable tool. So.
Ben, Bill, and then Rich. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to touch on a couple things. So it's cloud-based, right?
Right.
So it's not being stored locally. Any more details on what the encryption and end encryption looks like to make sure that we are the only people who actually have access to this data?
You know, Ben, I won't speak outside of my lane. I really couldn't tell you about encryption. I can definitely find out. I can put you actually in touch with our tech guy that's our sales rep.
Yeah.
And this is what they do every day. I know Axon is the biggest company out there. The biggest, you know, law enforcement agencies are using them.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt that it's secure.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of looked in and looked even beyond the packet that you gave us when, thank you for that. But I know that I guess I'm confused because in the redaction suite, it does use AI technology to kind of categorize faces and decide essentially which ones to redact and which ones to not, right? That's part of the feature.
But so I guess I didn't misspeak earlier, but it does identify. So say I want to redact my face.
Right.
I can choose it. It's a circle and it's going to follow. But it doesn't have the like the biometric, what people are talking when they say facial recognition as far as trying to identify somebody. It does do with redaction. If I pick a cell phone, we have to redact cell phone screens, computer screens, all sorts of things in our redaction. Once I select it, it knows it and it will follow it throughout the however long the video is and redact it. So yes, it does have that technology.
But it doesn't share facial features with anyone
Right.
else. It's.
And I do have an email specific to that. I can forward it, you know, to Liz and she can blast it out to the board too. I know it is one of the biggest concerns.
Yeah, because I mean, one of the other concerns, just in general, I think you kind of touched on it, right? It's like right now we're being told by the vendor that we're the only people who have access to this data, but they are a incredibly large vendor, and you know we're working on a trust policy right now. You know, trying to make sure that there is an established understanding of trust, especially when it comes to our interaction with certain parts of the federal government. So my worry with this is kind of the worry about surveillance creep, right? Where we are essentially uploading data. Like if you have officers stationed at a protest, they have cameras on their bodies and it is cataloging everybody at that protest and mapping their faces and then going up to a database that hypothetically could then get them onto in the watch list of people who do not enjoy them being at that protest. And I know I feel crazy saying these things out loud, but like you're talking about AI body cameras and we're talking about a federal government that is actively persecuting protesters right now. So I do think that this is something we have to consider. And generally, we don't have an AI policy. Like we don't have a way that to guide the use of these tools. That it feels like we are leaping into something without fully understanding the ramifications is my major concern with this.
Bill, Rich, and then Garfield.
Yeah, the translation, feature, does that require wireless access?
As far
If
as,
you're in a part of the town where we don't have very good wireless, would it work?
gee, that's a great question. I won't answer that because I don't know the
Okay,
answer.
fine.
I'll check on that.
So that's the reality of our town.
Yep, it sure is.
Yeah.
And then the other is I looked at the contract, it looks like it's, it's 48,000 for the first year, but then it goes up to roughly 150, so could you talk about that?
Yep, so when met with the vendor and obviously try to get this package, essentially they gave me a price tag of $500,000. Just here it is, 500,000. This is the contract. Work with them, work with combis, got them to do what we're calling a budget friendly proposal. Because essentially, unless the body camera program is going to end, and I would highly recommend we don't do that. We're going to have to renew it anyways with its current state and its current devices. So there's going to be money to be spent at some point anyways. So they took that, and there's a slideshow in the packet. There's like a 9-slide
Yeah.
In the actual book.
Yeah, so they did try to put that together, to sort of break it down and look at, hey. You got body cams, you're gonna need them to continue, there's gonna be this much cost. We can give you this reduced upfront cost for your first year, knowing that obviously we're very budget conscious. But then, yes, the bulk of it is year 2 and then year 3.
And so, I mean, I fully support this, I'm just a little, I looked at those numbers and it sort of smells like a teaser rate of it. And so, I think from a pure budgetary standpoint, would it be more responsible for this esteemed group here to sort of flatline it over 3 years, as opposed to the way it's set up now?
I mean, that's, if the boards want more of a flat line, I can.
I mean, I throw that out as a question,
We have the capacity to add to it, or shift things around a little bit. It was included in the 5-year capital plan. We didn't hide the fact that it was gonna be
sure was.
year 2 and year 3. And I was gonna bring it up as a young discussion that if there is, it's not a catch, it's just that it's a commitment. That, like the chief said, we are already committed to the equipment. It does come at a current cost. It's not a free service. However, there also are, and just keep in mind that there are grant opportunities out there. It may not be currently, it may come in the future. It is something that we can keep in mind and be able to apply for. It doesn't mean that we're gonna be able to be eligible or be as competitive and be awarded, because usually when those things happen, it's national. But there may be opportunities locally or state that public safety options, even on the state level with our senator support, that we could get funding for such activity, especially with the translation portion. That was an extremely attractive component.
I agree.
And the cost savings efficiency component of it, I think, and that's why I felt it was very important to add in the recommendations, and investing in this type of equipment and technology is crucial when we have such a, we don't have we have a very, we have a good number of our police teams, but as the chief said, if they are spending multiple hours in front of a computer.
Yeah,
Yep.
you don't need to sell me on the technology, I think it's great,
Yes.
I hear you loud and clear, chief, on how it benefits us, it's more the, I'm just looking at the pure math. And it's a little, I don't wanna, a little can we're kicking down the road a bit, okay, it's a very little can in the scope of our budget, and so we can move on, but I just wanna consider that.
Rich, Garfield, and then Ben.
On the budget side that Phil brought up, I would say that of all the years that we're looking at, where we would like to have a smaller number, this is the year. So I really appreciate seeing that smaller number in year 1. You were saying that the current body cams, now I know that they don't have the features which would really increase the hours that the police can be active doing other things, which is really kind of the largest component from my perspective. But as you said, the contract is coming up. So when is it exactly expiring? And does this then just morph that contract into a new level of body cam and then continue it on? Or do we just get some of these newer equipment each year, replacing the older ones, and that continues to allow the older ones to be used? Can you just talk to me about
Yep,
that?
so current contract, I believe, is up in September of this coming year.
This coming year, okay.
Part of this is gonna be us buying this out. It's like pretty used car. It's
Well, that's great.
There's
So
a
they're
$7,000
taking on
value
gold.
on our contract. They're gonna apply that to the newest one. That's how you can the 3 figures. Within this new 3-year contract, there is a device upgrade. The biggest worry we have is that because they're external and they get rained on and snowed on. At some point, they're not gonna last. You know, a simple electronic device that sits on the outside of a uniform is definitely not gonna last. So in this contract is new device refresh. And again, the money is in the software. As you can see, the folders, they call it a la carte. Essentially, you can choose what you want to purchase and how you want to move your program forward. The camera is just one small part, the actual camera.
So the physical part is a small part, and part of the contract is that that can be replaced if it's damaged.
Yes,
But the software is the larger.
the
Part
money's
of
in
the
the
contract.
software, yep, I mean, the biggest lines,
But I think if you just, I mean, rationally, I'm just looking at kind of an overview. I don't need the exact numbers. You know, I appreciate you looking for it, but I don't.
so like the draft one, that's a $70,000 item. That's the biggest one. Your next biggest item is gonna be your translation, at 32,400. So each piece of software has a value attached to it. So
And the software value continues even if the hard part is replaced.
yes,
Your current body cams, are they not this kind of configuration? Are they not an outside thing?
no, it's, you know, from the naked eye, it would look almost very, very similar.
So it gets rained on, and how has it functioned
I've had
in
this one
conditions?
3.5 years, it's been okay for me, but again, it's just like, I think like your cell phone, right? You're paying for the service of your cell phone, but if you drop your cell phone in a puddle or it gets left out overnight,
It's a good addition to the contract.
yes.
Those are my questions.
Okay, let's go with Garfield, we'll go with Ann and then Ben.
She
I
didn't.
had a
I
question.
didn't see your hand.
Yeah,
up.
okay, that's fine.
First I'll go.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I can speak.
Yes, please.
I'm definitely all for the body cams. I don't know if we've had it in this area, but they certainly are wonderful if we're having any racial issues. You have everything there on camera, and I think it helps. And even with those people that I'll spell it backwards, ECI, we have that information. But my question is, why do we need 30 units? There's what, 14, 15 police? Why do we need 30 units?
So I've got 19 sworn and each camera is assigned to the person, so their name is programmed into it. So I have 19 sworn, I have 3 parking enforcement currently. I do have a personnel increase plan. Didn't get in this year, but we'll work for it next year as well. I think 22 is probably the best number operationally, the way we see town right now and the current demand. And again, it's so pre-parking enforcement, 19 sworn, hopefully maybe 22 is gonna be what we should be operationally. I do have 3 reserve officers. I believe the retired Chief Story is gonna come on that same roster at some point. I think it's important that every person that's out there has.
So you're saying you don't really need 30, is what you're saying, correct? You're saying 22 sounds like the magic number,
No,
if I heard you correctly.
No, it's 27.
27, and then anytime we have equipment, there's always a couple extras. And again, I think the camera is $600. If mine broke tonight, I could go get a new one, dock it, upload my name, upload my profile, and that officer can be back on the street within probably an hour. So again, anytime we have police equipment, we always have at least a couple of spares.
Please do me one small favor again. Would you please give me the numbers that you said you had? You had 19 officers, correct? And 3
Parking
reserves, if
enforcement.
you will. So that makes 22.
Or
They
reserve.
didn't have their reserve.
4 reserves as well, Garfield.
So that makes, okay, so you have 27 total is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Why do
That
we
was the
need
number.
these for reserves? And why can't we use the ones that aren't being used for the people that, I mean, if you don't, I don't know why we need the reserves if we already have them. I can't believe we can't shift them around. I can't believe this town has that much activity that it's completely necessary to have 30 units in a town with 7,000 people with not tons and tons of crime. I don't know why we need to have extra. That's my opinion.
Again, one for each personnel, then 3 extra to have on hand in case we have an issue. That was the number.
And go ahead.
Do you want to acknowledge that Ben had his hand up long before me? So Ben, do you
Yeah,
want to?
I've spoken once and you haven't, so I was being very kind.
Okay, I think my question goes back to this sort of this teaser rate of 48,000 that then goes up to 150. And I'm assuming you did some comparison shopping and looked around to see if this is really the best deal. And I'm just worried, I guess I am thinking ahead to future years too. And in some ways, what are they going to come in with 2 years or 3 years out? So I guess I'm just wondering, you know, again, 150,000 next year and then almost 160,000 next year is going to be a lot.
It's a lot. More than twice
So
the
yeah, the
amount.
37-month contract is 356,191, and that was through combis. They said they could break it out any way they wanted. I let them know that we were in a extremely tough budget year, and I was asked to keep things as low as I could. So that was the structure they gave me. I thought that was gonna be, you know, hopefully appealing, when we made this pitch. So that's how those numbers did come out. So yeah, for the 356,191, you've got your 3-year.
I see. No,
48,000,
I get it. You divided it
150.
across. Yeah.
I get like, you know, Phil made a great point. If you want me to go back to the drawing board and restructure it to make it, I can.
Or I would say that, I'm sorry, I'm responding to your point. I just say it's independent of whether or not, you know, the equipment is good for the police force and for the town. It's really more of a map issue for the field.
And we can discuss that for
Okay.
Ben
thank
and
you.
then we'll.
Yeah, I had a question about the draft one feature. Could we just discuss that a little bit? Exactly, is that working just purely from transcription into generating a report, or does the officer create a report that is then bolstered by the assistant? What's the process there?
So the process is, once the camera is docked, it essentially gives you the first draft, like almost instantly. The officer then has to read it. If there's gaps or they didn't get something, it gives you an area to fill it in. The officer then has to read it and then essentially attest to it. And then making that draft one, then an actual report.
So does it track the version history to kind of differentiate between what the input from the AI and the officer is?
So everything is audited, everything is tracked, even like when we go back to the translation, you know, say a victim on scene, you know, tells us what happened to them, and it creates a fact pattern and we make an arrest. Then that has to be audited by real life, you know, human interpreters. So they keep there's a regular, the raw copy, there's the copy of the translation. So yeah, Axon is very much into keeping everything and creating a history.
Okay. Have there been issues with hallucinations with the AI generating the reports and not being taught by an officer?
Excuse me, what's the last part?
Sorry, it just you know, AI hallucinations are still pretty common at this stage. So with an AI assistant generating a report, it can introduce information that was not actually part of it. I'm just curious if that has, you know, if you're aware of any occurrences, and then if an officer doesn't catch it, how does that affect an investigation, et cetera?
Yeah, so again, it's on the officer and the supervisor to read it and attest to it. I did see we did a hallucination, so we induced one during an AI training. It wasn't for Axon, it was just a simple chat GBT, but yes, we're aware of that for sure. And just like I got you on my wife, we do have an AI policy in draft form.
Okay.
I hope that's something out very, very soon, because you did bring that up earlier, and it's definitely a concern. It's out there, it's being used widely, but yes, we have a policy in its very early stages.
And look, I don't think this is unique to the police department. I think we're going to be seeing these kind of tools being offered to all of our departments. So it's great that we're drafting one. I think we just need to, as a whole municipality, come to an agreement exactly how we want to use these tools moving forward, because they're coming and it's going to have some pretty important implications. So.
Marlena, then Phil, and Marco.
Yeah, my question is, I mean, we are really at the kind of a beginning of the AI, you know, innovation curve. That's so there are going to be a lot of new features and functionalities offered very, very quickly. I mean, this is just an amazing the speed. With that, there will be also more price competitive, right? So the question is, we are locking into a contract here for what, 3 years?
Yep.
Okay. If we want to get out of this contract because there will be some other provider offering something that's going to have more functionality at a lower cost, is there any kind of a anything in the contract that where we would be able to do so or not be able to do so, or what is the contractual arrangement here?
I don't know what the termination is on the contract.
Yeah.
I do know this is the leading company. I don't see them not being a leading company in the next 37
Well,
months.
things do change quite a bit actually in that field. I have to tell you that.
Okay.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. So,
Because these technologies, Elena, this project and this product is being done through Combis, which is the state procurement. The state actually does the negotiations with each of the companies that are eligible for us to utilize through that procurement,
So the state is determining who can
state
offer it,
actually-
yeah.
the state does a significant amount of negotiations on behalf of the communities and even the state organizations. And they look at all of those things and negotiate not just a good price, but a really good secure package that allows the towns more flexibility in those kinds of things. So when the chief mentioned even the vehicle being locked in, these prices are locked in for like 5 years. So what you're seeing now is been already negotiated for a.
No, I understand that,
And
yeah.
so the same thing, so those little details in a contract, that is something on the state level. So I've even seen where contractor or vendors have just conveniently left things out, but the state will step in and say, no, that's a violation and you are obligated to meet these criteria that we've already negotiated. So that we have not just within the contract, but we also have securities in place with the state to advocate for making sure that what is in the contract is something that we can take advantage of if we do choose to get out of it in some way.
Right, but that was really not my question. My question was, can we get out if we want to? Yeah.
Yeah.
So was really my question.
Sorry, is
Yeah.
the concern that a new company will come out?
Yeah, or let's say if they do come and they offer something that is bigger, better, at lower price, can we get out, right? Yeah, so.
We have the ability also to renegotiate prices with the current vendor too. That is actually allowed with the current contract.
Right, but I was asking about the
You're
termination
thinking like a
itself.
better company at a slamming deal comes out.
Yeah,
right?
because it will happen, totally. It's, this is not just for few to be or want to be
Yep.
there offering something like that. It will be many more.
If you get the actual termination.
Yeah, if there is just, I just want to make sure we are not locking ourselves for next 3 years into something that, may not be price competitive a year down the road.
Phil and Garfield and.
My last comment, Chief, I've read a little bit about this, but isn't it correct to think that, consider that, as you mentioned, your team spends a lot of time on the reports. And today, and these days, reports include the edited video or the redacted video. And that it takes a lot of time to do this. So it seems like the appeal of this system is that it's designed to really streamline that process. Could in fact end up saving the town money and reduce overtime as a part of this report generation. Is that the right way to look at it?
Yes, for me operationally, to look at this and see that number at, $356,000, that's a lot of money for me to come and ask for, but the impact it's gonna have on us, essentially we're buying our time back. I think can't be understated.
Garfield, Rich, and then.
Liz, when you said the state also does some negotiating for pricing, does that include that? That, as I'm sure everyone is aware of, the next year is more than triple the amount we're paying this year. So kind of like what Ann was saying, is this really our best deal? And my other question is most important for me anyway. Are these things repairable, fixable? Do we have to throw them out and get another one? Because we're spending a lot of money, so I don't know if everything seems to be able to be repaired. So I don't know if that's something. Why can't we have these things repaired if we need them? There got to be somebody who does that. Can't believe we'd have to throw it away and get another one.
So a damaged device gets sent back to Axon. Again, the actual device itself isn't the cost. They're going to send you a new one the next day probably. But the cost is in the software. All the things that go into it.
Yeah.
The cameras themselves isn't what you're seeing. I think huge.
Triple
And
the disturbing.
I'm sorry. Yeah, in Garfield, the cost actually negotiated is the full price. And what you're seeing though is it's spread across 3 years. So what Phil was mentioning is that you could massage the number any way that you want. But the total amount that you see across the 3-year line is what has been negotiated or been, quoted to us through the state's, contract opportunity. So, but as the chief mentioned, we've worked out where the first year is at a low number, and then, I will be incorporating that into the capital request for the following 2 years. Because we've signed on, if this first year is agreed upon and supported, then I will make sure that that is incorporated into the capital plan for the next 2 years for the payment through free cash. So it's not a borrowed amount, but it is accounted for free cash.
So it's very, very interesting to save officer hours through this ability to have the first draft of your report made. It seems to me it could be a game changer in the concept of how many officers are your ideal number of officers, right? So if you're coming back to us with wanting to raise the basic number of officers 3 more, this kind of device with the number of hours that you're saving, would that amend your thinking?
I'm basing that 22 off of having this technology. We even looked at, again, the town manager and I doing a little analysis, the public records requests that have come in recently, not only hindering the town clerk here, but our department, all departments, but ours specifically. I'm looking at now, do I need a full-time person just to do public records requests? So we're going 2 different directions as far as how much staff would I need without technology. It's probably gonna be even higher than what we're looking at operationally. That's
Okay, so you're taking that into account when you're looking forward and thinking what your department may optimally.
It's
Okay. I want the police to have what they absolutely need. This is a want. Could you take me through what you have on your chest and, and tell me, can we still use these? Is it possible, you mentioned that, that they're out in the weather and eventually they break down, but they're meant for being outside. I mean, that didn't sell me on anything. But I'd like to know, I mean, I see the advantages on this new one. I can see that, technology is taking off and we'd like to be current. But can we get by with what we have?
So essentially, the decision for the 2 boards to make is maybe 3 options. We can simply say, we just don't have the money, we're not gonna fund it, and in September, these get turned off. And that's the end of the program until something happens. The next one is just to simply renew the contract as it currently sits, which they have 196. Again, it was a quick number they threw in to keep the program running. When this is gonna set to expire, these will simply just get turned off and the software gets shut off. You're at the 196 mark. With all this newest technology, essentially, buying back that super valuable time, that's when you're at the 350 mark. So essentially, I'm asking the boards to think about, you get 3 options. If we don't fund it, we turn them off, and that's it. Or we fund them in their current state, 196, and they can do whatever numbers they want over the 3 years. Or look at the proposal I'm giving you, which is the highest, but again, buying back that super valuable time.
Is that 196 set in stone?
So I don't have a contract on that. He gave me that in the executive summary, which is slide 2. But if that's,
I mean, that would be a very bad business plan to have it so high that it only costs that much more to get you to 300,000, that doesn't seem like a really good business plan to me.
Michelle.
The ones you have right now, they don't offer any translation.
No.
Sorry, they don't. So can you just run through, you're patrolling, you pull over someone, there's a language barrier. It's serious. What do you do in that case? What does an officer do? In that case, you don't have what you're proposing. You have what you have on right now.
So it turns into, can they call a friend and put them on speakerphone that can translate? Can we pull out one of our cell phones and go to
Google
a
Translate.
cheap translator app?
Google
Those are the
Translate,
two things we see more commonly used. The biggest issue we see, and it's not the car stops, it's victims that can't tell us their story
Mhm.
at 2 a.m. when there's either family around. That's where we'll see the real game changer as far as a true translation device, on hand with us.
Right, right. Because I think sometimes the complexity of the situation dictates what you can do. As I said, we do this, if somebody comes in and wants to pick up their child, that's different, we can use an app, yes, yeah. But if we're discussing an IEP or something like that, we need an interpreter there or a high level translation tool. So I was just curious what you do now and how you handle
And we
it. So
can-
this would actually, I think, improve relationships with the community.
Yes, that's huge.
Even our visitors coming in, it's not just us here. We have visitors coming in from all over the place, so, okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jane. Much appreciated.
Okay, thank you.
You still got emergency?
Yeah, it's around for the next management.
Yeah. So do that next.
Sharing screen.
This should be a little more straightforward, so.
Mhm.
All right, first thing management, there were three requests that were brought forward, and two of them I am recommending. The trailer mount generator,
Mhm.
as well as the message board, which is actually two of them.
Yeah, so in emergency management, we do a lot of tabletop exercises. The biggest thing we identified, and again, talking a lot with the fire chief and our DPW superintendent, we identified that our lack of a portable generator needs to be addressed like yesterday, and in my opinion. For a variety of reasons. One would be obviously if one of our critical buildings went down, that had the generator, but the generator failed, it could be used there. If we have some kind of situation, whether we open a warming center or whatever may happen, we can then bring this to a facility to then offer some kind of temporary power. It is portable, it's on a trailer. It is, the weight allows it to be towed by our Chevy Tahoes and hopefully our F-150, if everything goes well up here. So again, it's something that can be very easily used by us at 2 a.m. Or another, the fire department has vehicles. It's not a huge thing that I need a heavy duty truck to move. So again, this would be a critical piece of equipment that I would recommend buying yesterday, given that it's power, emergency power.
We're to go both of them and then.
And then, we have two, message boards, initiatives of emergency management. This comes more on like the DPW side of the house as well, more of a shared resource, which I know you'll have to hear that, Madonna. So we have our two speed trailers, which they work great and they have small messages, but we definitely use those more strategically to get speed data. And it's stuff when I have them on Good Morning Evidence. And they're there, and they're being used, and I have them set up, and then we have some kind of, incident where we have to shut down a road. It's tough for me to pull those trailers that have been set up strategically just for the speed data. And again, the boards aren't that big, they're very, very brief messages. This is gonna be, what you'd more see like in a highway situation. So for, true messaging. And there's two of those for.
54.
You don't think it's out of scale?
No, I recommend these, highly recommend these, because as the chief said, they're multi-purpose. I really do look at all of these requests as how we can actually be able to utilize these in the most efficient manner. Not only for emergency management, I do see these as tools for preparing people who are arriving into town for special events. If there is parking increases or ways to direct people, warn people of things that are happening, that an event is coming up July 4th, or that little things, reminders and things that we can put in position in key areas before they get into downtown, that they can prepare for other, just to prepare. So I see this as emergency management, but I also see this as a mechanism for communicating to the community.
I have a question, on the generator, I'm curious, how many instances have you had, let's say, in the last 12 months? When we had a significant outage and it was really becoming a public safety issue? Because frankly, my experience here so far has been absolutely amazing. I came from Connecticut where we had an outage every other week, zero outage here so far. So I'm very, I'm very curious to hear why do you feel the way you do that? This is so important and it's been overdue.
Sure, so like, again, in emergency management, I hate to kind of like be the nerd of it, but like, I lay in bed at night and think about emergencies. And if I probably wanna get two, because two is one and one is none. The cost of readiness is really, really hard, especially again, coming from the finance committee. I understand, it's a lot of dollars to ask for something. But again, I think a generator is just so key and you'd hate to be stuck without one. As far as the last 12 months, I know we've had two widespread outages just this past, 2 to 3 months in the winter. It was like the 2 coldest days of the year. We were scrambling to get an old generator that we were trying to salvage from a prior building. It was so cold, we couldn't get it
And which
started.
building was it for?
It was we were gonna open up the community center.
Okay,
We added a three-phase pigtail panel to that building in preparation if we ever needed it. So that would be the most recent instance.
And if you were to look at the last 12 months, how many other outages did you have that you felt were, of size and the kind of buildings?
It is so. In the last 12 months,
Mhm.
maybe 5 times in my head, I'm like, hey, we need to start mobilizing some temporary power. And again, fortunately, the cost of readiness for emergency situations is high.
Right, right.
And the equipment that costs a lot of money does sometimes awfully sit and.
No, I just want to understand the urgency of it, but you said that it was overdue, so, but I understand why you feel, that this needs to be done. I was just trying to get it into the context of the past performance here. Yeah,
I think
thank you.
this is a mobile unit, so you can actually shift it to where the
Sure, yeah,
needs
yeah.
are. This building actually does not have a generator.
Mhm.
So if we needed to get power to this building to get bills paid and transactions done and keep operations going, using this building as kind of an emergency headquarters even, we don't have the capacity to keep town hall open
Mhm.
in an actual outage, a widespread something. So I feel that this is a very valuable investment for the community, and generators do have a significant shelf life. If you do maintain it, keep it going, and you get your maintenance, your annual maintenance on it, it is something that will last a very long time.
Thank
I'm
you.
speaking Garfield and Michelle. It's interesting in emergency management, you spend most of your time planning and hopefully none of your time.
For nothing, right? Yeah.
Exercise, but when you have an emergency, you really hope you plan well and you have everything in place, because if you don't, it's really a problem. Yeah. Garfield and then Michelle.
I'm just curious as the price difference here. It says 75,000 in emergency management in the blue, but the total cost says 73,000. Can you explain
Yes,
that?
that's- Great point. I did mention that when I looked at these requests, so the 73,000 is what the chief had requested, but I am bumping it up because of possible tariffs or any other when we order it, just to make sure that we had a little bit of flexibility with the budgeting.
Michelle.
First off, I'm shocked we don't have a generator here. I just assumed you.
Okay,
I just
We talked about it in our emergency meeting.
yeah, I just assumed there was one, and it's, like you said, it's the base, if something goes. First place I'm going to come is something goes down. That being said, generator I don't have an issue. Because again, used anywhere. The message boards, I'm a little on the fence, but there's going to be a lot of bridge construction, that sort of thing going on. And living on Division Street, when Division Street Bridge was closed, there was like a cardboard sign in front of the Guthrie Center. And I am not exaggerating, one afternoon, 23 cars turned around in my driveway. And I called Chief Stewart, he reported it, and Mark Ransky. So is this something, if there was a more dynamic sign there, you wouldn't have that type of traffic. And also, one time, one of the cars, I was at my gardens, almost hit me. And when you close a bridge, you close a road, people get a little overconfident. Oh, there's no cars coming. I can walk, do what I want. But there were cars every day, and my neighbors can attest to that as well. Is this something that would be used in some of these bridge construction projects or road construction projects?
Yeah, so I mean, effective signage can definitely fix a lot of problems
Yeah,
before they happen.
definitely.
And I think, working with the DPW superintendent and the town manager, looking ahead to these next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
This was probably the time because we are expecting a lot of projects.
Right.
And essentially, this is selfish for me, I didn't wanna lose my small speed trailers that we're using other places.
And those wouldn't really do it.
No, they're not effective enough to dedicate those to a long-term project, and we don't have access to them for the mission that we have at hand.
Mhm. Okay.
Garfield, is your hand still up, or did I forget to put?
I'm sorry, no.
Anyone else? Thanks, Chief.
I believe the fire chief was at a training today, so I didn't think he was gonna be here, so I will present one. He has requested 3 items and I am recommending 2 to move forward. The first is a Plymouth system. So what this does is actually, the Plymouth system is in the current building and there's a rooftop unit that, basically sucks all of the fumes from the vehicles that are on and the exhaust system, the exhaust fumes that are coming from the vehicles through the actual ceiling. However, CO is something that is heavier than air, and the engineering of a climate vent on the ceiling is not actually the best investment for this. So the fumes are actually sinking to the floor, and our vent system is on the ceiling. And from my experience working in facilities and managing facilities and fire stations, Plymouth vents, if you do not have one that is engineered correctly, it costs a significant amount of money. So the detectors are actually going oddly, and it's just not running efficiently for the way that it should not be in from the rooftop units. So we are proposing to retrofit the bay to accommodate these magnetic systems, which I have seen and it is utilized in Boston and a lot of other fire stations. It actually is a magnetic thing that goes around the exhaust on the actual fire apparatuses. And the system is up on a track system on the roof, the ceiling line, which then magnetically attaches to the vehicle. So the firemen will actually plug that in. So when they are getting ready to go on a call, they turn on the vehicle, the fan system automatically goes on, the exhaust goes through the actual ductwork to be pumped outside from the vent system. And the moment that the vehicle leaves, the magnetic, it actually detaches by the magnets versus a system which would almost be like a, there's some options that will be kind of like a casing that goes around the exhaust, but the elbow part actually in those types of systems and design actually breaks at the elbows of the Plymouth vent. This is something that is much more cost effective, this magnetic system that we are proposing. So it is I feel it's a safety it's a work environment. It is a big investment and an important investment for the fire station, so.
You might have to do both to turn on.
And Is Scott on?
I don't know, I would really not want to recognize someone who doesn't have any ID whatsoever during what's not a public discussion.
I have a,
I don't know if Scott's on.
I have my hand up.
Yeah, but we're not done with,
Yeah.
we're gonna do both, we're gonna,
Oh.
yeah, could you just see if that's.
Yeah.
Can we ask any questions or no?
We're gonna do the entire fire and then we'll go to questions.
Okay.
But you're first in line, girlfriend.
That's the first.
Yeah, that is the chief.
Don't we get an ID on this one? I think it's better.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can now.
I apologize. I was trying to sign in as you were saying that, but it wouldn't take the email.
No problem, glad it's you.
Is there anything that you wanted to add, chief, on a justification?
I don't think so. I think the only thing I guess I would mention would be on the exhaust system. Prior to the blower that exhausts the carbon monoxide from the building, there is an air filtration system prior to that. So it's not like the system is just expelling carbon monoxide out into the environment.
Thank you, chief. And then the turnout here?
Sure. Alright, and then the, second, okay, and then the turnout gear, there's 10 sets that are being recommended. They actually only have one set currently of turnout gear, and so if one set is soiled and has to be actually laundered, and there's a call that they need to attend to, they don't actually have a clean set to move forward with. So this is an important public safety component that I felt was necessary and for the second set for the team.
Thank you. Garfield, go ahead, and then Rich, and then Melinda.
Thank you. The chief actually answered my question because that was my concern. I'm all for the firefighter safety and not them breathing bad stuff, but I was concerned about that bad stuff being blown out into the businesses that are right across the street. But he said it has an air filtration and it's not blowing out, so I'm happy. Well, I'm satisfied.
So I may have misunderstood,
Yeah.
but were you saying that there is one complete set of turnout gear for all of the firefighters, or because I heard one here, so I didn't know what you meant.
Yep, chief, can you answer that?
Yes, we were starting off with replacing 10 sets, so 10 members would have a second set of gear. There are a few members who currently have turnout gear that doesn't expire for another few years, and that's according to the National Fire Protection Association. They recommend that we change gear every 10 years, or we don't use them beyond 10 years. So right now there's 5 members who are going to expire either this year or next year.
All right.
yeah, I have a question about the exhaust capture, and I want to understand, first of all, so the equipment we used in the past was not entirely safe.
That's correct.
Wow. And how did we realize, or when did we realize that?
When I arrived and took a tour of
Oh,
of the
okay.
fire station, and I asked the chief, where's your plymo vent? I don't see it, and he said it's a rooftop unit, and that was my from my experience overseeing facilities for a very robust fire and ambulance and the EMS department at Warren.
And it's my understanding that this is a fairly new fire station, is that
Built in
correct?
2009.
2009, so it was just not built correctly back then, or it was not understood back then?
So there's difference of opinion, there's different preferences for, some fire stations lean towards the rooftop unit. I know some that are brand new stations that are actually being designed for that. However, I have strong reservations from supporting that when the science says that this gas is heavier than air and therefore sinks,
Mhm.
and you put an exhaust system far
top,
above
yeah.
it doesn't make logical sense to
Mhm.
me. And so this is something that I feel is extremely important.
Right,
Yes.
okay, thank you.
To get it directly at the source, so it is captured right at
Right
the source.
there,
It
yeah.
doesn't escape into the
Mhm.
air, into the actual base system.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Chief, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We next have information technology.
There are two items, this is within the town manager's realm, information technology is under the town manager umbrella. There are two items that are being proposed within IT. One is the online permitting software, and the second is upgrade to the assessor software. The first is the online permitting and software. We have currently, what is called the building department, it's called, Permit Eyes. And it is a technology that is very limited to the building department. It does not communicate with other types of technology. It doesn't actually, when building permits are filed and approved through the building, or at least filed, it doesn't actually connect with all the other departments and triggering types of review.
Mm.
It doesn't allow the health department really to be incorporated into building and expanding into different departments. So it is a very narrow scoped software that we currently have. And it's really limited to just the building permits. So health department, health inspections, health permits, the liquor licenses, the common victulars, the business certificates, the utility permits that that are filed through DPW. All of those permits that the town offers, and even through planning for special permits, any applications that are, that we have available, none of that can actually be utilized within the current technology that we pay for. And this is kind of connected to the next element of the next request. The assessor's office actually cannot be tied in with the building permit software that we have. So the assessor's office cannot actually be really notified and put into the current software where that we have currently upgrade and show that there has been improvements to a property that then should be reassessed and revalued. So this is a kind of a two software kind of approach. The technology that is out there today that is, it's much more robust. It does, come with much more opportunities for us to increase our online services, which is aligned with the strategic priorities, especially when you have investors that are looking, who are not here, that can't be present in town hall, that they can actually upload plans, that different departments from the various remote access can look at things. The fire department can look at these plans. So this is the technology that I am recommending, and that it is a way that it's a tool that we can expand upon with promoting the goals and priorities of the community, so.
Questions?
And
Yeah, go ahead, Lynn.
so with Permitize
Yeah.
that we currently use now, how much do we pay for that software?
It is approximately $15,000.
1,000, and then, so it's a program that I have to use for my business quite a bit.
Yeah.
How does this work? This new program work if our building department is hiding from a different town? How does that? And
Right, so, as of right now, we are locked in for, 2 more years with our current, regional, arrangement with the 5 other communities for what's called Berkshire Build. And, the other component of this that I did not mention actually is that, the state has put in a requirement for ADA accessibility for online tools. So all options that we offer online has to be ADA accessible. Permitize has confirmed that they are nowhere near. They are not looking to upgrade anything, so they are out of compliance and they are not able to meet the criteria of the deadline, which is April 24th of 27. So we have about a year or 16 months to bring any online, including all PDFs, have to be ADA accessible. So I have been in conversations with the 5 other communities and possibly the 6th community, which is New Marlboro, which they may be joining Berkshire Build. I've been in conversations with them and we are going to begin the process of looking for a new vendor starting in July. So this would be the money to anticipate that it is gonna cost more because Permitize is really a low, very low service. But that being said, all of the communities do know that what we do invest in moving forward, Eric, needs, at least for Great Barrington's priorities. I will not be signing on anything that just limits us to only building. I want to be able to expand, and they have agreed and seen the value of making sure that licenses, liquor licenses, Board of Health, animal, all of those permits that are being issued across all the different departments, even fire, burning permits, all of those things can be done through the comfort of your home if we have the right software, and this is the money that will be able to get us there.
And with this software in you know, the 90,000 that is suggested, that if the Berkshire Build or whatever signs on, is that not that we're so concerned about other towns at this point right now, but is this something that can be like divvied up amongst the towns? Is it?
No, this is just for Great Barrington, and it is based upon actually the number of permits that we do. Now, this is a quote actually from one of the more prestigious companies that is traditionally that is more popular across the state used. And that is something that I chose to get more of a high-end level, so that way we have enough money just to in case something happens, and this money won't be available until July 1st, and I won't be able to work on an RFP with the other communities until we won't be able to get even interviews done until September or October of next year. So the money can, obviously, the price continues to escalate upward at the longer that we wait. But yes, I reached out to a company that is called OpenGov, and it is used across multiple different types of communities in the Commonwealth. That is something that also I feel is very important for us to at least consider the value of that, of investing in something that is more known to other communities, because it is easier for residents as well as contractors and investors to be familiar with the software. It makes it much easier. They can look at it and be like, oh, I know how to actually utilize this and navigate through it. Oh, they use this company. I already have an account with them. Because they can sign in using their same account. So if we have something that this a town on the Cape, or a town even in Worcester, like Worcester area county has, they can just sign into their same account and see all of the permits they've listed and applied through all of the towns. So there's advantages to having something that is a little bit more known across multiple towns.
But it's, I guess, just like the shared service value of it, there's no, we're not sure about like, all the towns pooling and getting a discounted rate.
No, there won't be a discounted rate because it's based upon the actual permits that are filed with each of the communities. So there is no actual software out there that will do more of a regional base that is for the state of Massachusetts. I have asked that. Yeah, so.
Question here, I mean,
Wanted to say something.
Can I just add something on this? So this program that Liz is talking about and how it coexists with all the departments. One thing I do know right now is that the clerk's office does business certificates through an Excel spreadsheet. That's how they keep track of it, which is just not a very efficient way when we have a system that can, you know, instead of coming in and doing it on a paper form, they can do it online. They can apply for their business certificate. So I just wanted to.
Yep, and it gets the signups and then the permit is actually is issued electronically, so it's emailed out to the applicant and it is on file. All the notes are absorbed in online. You can have everything uploaded. It is tracked onto the actual GIS mapping, so it is associated with the actual property, so you can see the history of everything. So that's the technology that is out there that we're not utilizing and we're not utilizing to our advantage. And so I see this as an opportunity for the community.
so.
Myself,
sorry.
Melina, and then Garfield, just one quick question, short-term rental registration.
Yep, that would be included.
So, I mean,
That's how
yeah.
much a year?
So we're looking at several different, so there's a subgroup that would be working that is that can be able to talk to this particular one, it's compatible. So so that's where actually the reduction in the cost would be through me working with changing different vendors within short-term rentals. But yes, it is compatible and it is something, the software also that the higher end, which I had talked to the vendor, if we do decide to go with it, if the Berkshire Bill does decide to go with this vendor, OpenGov, I have already arrangements with other communities that they would be able to, they've already agreed to shift all of their templates over to us. So if you look at the town of Provincetown, they actually use OpenGov like for everything. And you can see the opportunities that software such as this will actually be able to utilize for us.
So, I mean, I cannot agree more. I think that's totally, you know, it's year 2026, right? So, but my question is really, I mean, if you're gonna put something like that in place, hopefully there will be some savings somewhere else,
Yes.
right? Because as Emily, you know, just gave us a good example, people typing things in an Excel spreadsheet. So what, I mean, I would hope is that you have done some kind of a cost benefits analysis when you look at things like that. And so what would be some of the cost savings maybe we could get by, you know, and it's not gonna be $1 but there should be some, whether it's productivity, efficiency, whether it's personal, you know, reduction, whatever that could give us, that would be important to know, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to actually identify real true savings costs. I mean, the time management component of for permitting software, it's not just an internal cost savings, it's an external cost.
Yeah, there's a
savings.
convenience factor for sure, yeah.
It's also not just convenience, it's aggravation. So when a business certificate, I'll use that example. So somebody has to print out a copy, so that's an expense, right? It's 5 cents for a copy, believe it or not, for, or a penny for a black and white, and it's 5 cents for a color copy that we actually pay for our Xerox machines, okay? So a penny to print out, somebody has to write it, Then you have to get different sign offs, so you have to go to the building department and you have to wait for them to sign off, then you have to go to the health department. Get them to sign off, and then you have to go to the town manager to sign off, and then you have to go to the town clerk and even possibly the fire department. So you have to go to multiple different departments in multiple different buildings. And you're asking all of these businesses and businesses from home occupancy businesses, all of these people that are trying to do business, that we're trying to encourage and make them feel more welcome. So you have a customer, it's a customer service, but also aggravation. If the person's not there, then that person, the individual has to go back and get a sign off and have to coordinate all of their scheduling for that. But then we have to, on our end, be able to be there and guide them and communicate if something's wrong, if something's missing, if we have questions. Everything can be done online. And then the permit is issued electronically. So liquor licenses would be another thing. Liquor licenses are common victulars, lodging houses. Somebody's applying for a new license. And we have to make sure that their changes are looked at. So if we have a 15-seat restaurant that is in existence and it's on the sewer system, and the new proposed business wants to put in 25 seats, there is no current mechanism for our wastewater department to look at this application and guide and put something on hold, saying you don't have enough gallonage allocated for this actual proposal. How we need to work on this, and we need to hit the pause button. So we could be moving forward. Unfortunately, if there's a step missed, this online software will allow us to go in order, and if you don't get those sign-offs, it does not move forward to actually going before the select board. So the select board is those protections, those are something that I can't put a number on, Milena, but because I've been in this business, starting using a typewriter in 2001, to then incorporating even emails in 2002, and then incorporating PDFs. And now I've got this software, and I would not put this before you if I did not think this was a valuable tool that we can use and make our small team much more efficient. And be able to look at the bigger projects that are gonna be coming before us and be able to communicate and manage these large projects, as well as supporting possible investors for our community.
Thank you.
Garfield, Rich, and then Ben. Go ahead, Garfield. You're muted, Garfield. Rich, go ahead, you may step away.
I'm trying to think of a way to express what I feel I need to express after hearing a lot of these proposals. You did a bang up job on looking at what can be done in other years and not just in this year.
Yeah.
My overriding fear is that we will not find a way to pay for everything that is an improvement and an up. So these questions we're having about cost are not against the efficacy or the value of any of the projects and all of the work that you've put into trying to see how things can improve. This year in particular is kind of a painful year. And I keep thinking we have to also be asking ourselves, is it absolutely essential? Can improvements continue to be moved off to next year? You know, you have a 5-year plan, You've done a lot of trimming off of the first year, but this is the hardest year.
Right.
So each time a response is, this is what it can do, this is the improvement that can occur. My heart is trying to figure out,
How to
is
prepare,
this
yeah.
possible
Right,
this year?
right,
So I hope that you understand as we're asking these questions.
absolutely.
And your response is like, I've done all of this vetting and I've looked at all these things and I would not bring it forward to you if I didn't feel it was of value. We know it's of value, but I think that perhaps you can understand that we're going to eventually be going back to the beginning and saying, well, we can't afford all of this. Now what can be put off
Right.
that will increase things? So I just wanted to put that out there now, because in the next few days that we're having the things, all of these will not be able to be approved.
No,
And so that's where I'm coming from, that you have to respect that the questions we are asking, which are completely fiscal questions,
Yes.
are geared towards what people can pay for.
Yes.
And not what can improve the system.
So that being said, and thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for recognizing, the amount of work that has been put in by the whole team.
Totally see.
And that we have been very thoughtful in the process of.
Very
presenting
much.
To you, what we feel is very important and aligned. That being said, there are in the forms that you'll see for each of the items, there is also, a question if these are mandated, discretionary, or non-discretionary. And this particular item, I believe, I did my work correctly because I submitted
Which
this
one, the permitting or
for
assessors?
permitting for the software. I did put it in there, that was good. It is non-discretionary because of the change in the law for the ADA compliance. The permitting software is completely out of compliance, therefore we are going to have to make an upgrade. Of some form, it cannot be permitized, which is currently the software that the building, regional building department uses.
This is exactly the information that I'm wanting highlighted in each of these proposals.
That's correct.
Can you, since we're on the information technology here, can you address the assessor software from that vantage point? Is it discretionary at all?
Not yet.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand that answer.
It's not discretionary yet. It's not absolutely necessary, but.
So it's not
Not
non-discretionary.
yet.
It's
Yeah,
not the
it's-
discretionary.
Yeah, eventually,
And we all see
you know, the.
writing on the wall is absolutely there. The writing on the wall is absolutely there.
Yes.
But this is something that is
discretionary, yeah.
desired and improving,
This
but
one
is not absolutely
Mandatory. It's not
Essential.
mandatory. It's not mandatory.
to this year.
No, it is not essential, but the reason why that I did not ship this to another year and, is because I looked at this, and again, going back to meeting the objectives and goals, and I know the balance in the budget obviously is crucial. But if we are to meet the current assessing software does not assist. It is not, it's.
Can I?
Yes,
Sorry.
you
Can
go
I
right
just talk
ahead.
on a few
Yes,
things? So
please do.
one of my major things, and I don't know if anybody here is a tech guru, so I'm gonna try to explain this the best way I can.
Thank you.
But it's kind of a technology problem. So we have Munis that runs our bills. And then I have my CAMA system. Every time we run the bills, I have to take all of the information from my CAMA system and I have to get it into Munis. It has not been successful. The bills do not run correctly. There is problems every single time we run the bills. And I've worked 48 hours on a weekend trying to fix the problem. And I've only run the bills once and it did not go well. And from what I've heard, it doesn't go well in the past. Alicia, Ross, Munis, Patriot, they all have to work to try to figure out why these two systems do not communicate. And we have to pay for a bridge. They call it a bridge. We pay for this bridge for these two softwares to communicate. Now, the upgrade that I'm asking for is a Tyler Technologies. It's a Munis. They're under the same program. So instead of talking with all these different vendors, trying to figure out why the bills don't run correctly, we would be talking with one. We wouldn't have to pay for the bridge. So yes, I'm asking for money to pay for this upgrade, but it's going to eliminate some of the charges in the future. So it's going to eliminate the bridge. Now we have two of the same, not same programs, but the same company coexisting, and they already know how to make the two softwares connect. So it could lead to a more successful bill run for the future. That's my biggest reason why I'm asking for this. And it comes with other positives. The property record card is 1,000 times easier to read. It makes more sense.
And all of that, I completely hear you. Can you speak to any fiscal differences? I mean, I think you kind of did, that you're talking about hours worked to try to make the two systems
And the bridge.
function together to produce an essential product of your department.
It is, so like I said, it is compatible. It is creating almost a portfolio that Emily had touched base on. So Munis talks to various, Munis talks to this new assessors software that we're proposing, but it also talks to OpenGov, then it talks to the short-term rentals. So, but the current software that we have does not actually talk to each other. So that's really what Emily was talking about, giving one example of a very hard, very frustrating moment that occurs. Now, the software that we currently have for assessors also has glitches or problems in it that makes us feel hesitant to believe that it is something that is going to allow us to come. If we're making adjustments, it is very difficult to actually look at and see the assessed values and make sure that it's talking, like I said, with the actual upgrades and things, the building permits and other things that then can talk to, and I don't know.
Yeah, so the software, one of the other things, the software that we have is many versions behind. So it's never had an upgrade. We're so far behind, and it kicks me out randomly. It does not like me touching the sketch. I have to touch the sketch. I have to change it, and it kicks me out, and I get frustrated. And I have to go back in, and it is a problem. Technology is only going to advance, and the more we push off technology, the harder it is going to be to catch up. I'm gonna be honest, it's been hard going from Pittsfield coming to here because the technology is so far behind. And it's hard. So permits, back on permits, when we were talking about that, I have to put them in one by one. I go into the permit eyes, I organize them by date, and I manually put every single one into our system. So I can catch those houses and those garages and as much new growth as we can get because we know we need it. And these are things that weren't being done before. So how many houses did we miss? How many other things were we missing? These permits weren't looked at in depth. And you want to talk about cost efficiency on it, it's gonna save time. That's what it's gonna save. You're saving the dollar with my time, with clerk's time. You wouldn't, the systems will communicate, which saves, it's gonna save time on how much harder it is for us to do our job, Do we need it this year? No, I'm gonna ask for it next year, and I'm gonna ask for it the year after that, and I'm gonna ask every single year until I get some sort of upgrade, because, and whether it's the upgrade for the camo we have now, because eventually they've already said, we have, our camo system is called Catalyst, that's our vendor. And they said eventually the version that we have, it's just gonna stop working, and it's not gonna be accessible. And then what do we do at that point if it crashes? And now we can't get the information to put into a new camera system. So You know, the upgrade
Well, we-
eventually has to happen, whether it's within Catalyst or it's Tyler or it's, you know, Vision. You guys would all cry if I gave you the price for Vision, so Vision will never happen. But, but Tyler and
Already
Catalyst,
crying.
yeah, I mean, I got three quotes from all three different vendors, you know. Tyler is willing, Pittsfield has Tyler, so the price that I'm asking for is actually reduced because they're going to host us. So Pittsfield is going to create a jurisdiction within their software system. Of Great Barrington. Great Barrington won't be able to see Pittsfield, Pittsfield won't be able to see Great Barrington, but they're gonna like be our holder. And then we would just have the software on our computers.
So,
Ben, Garfield, and Bill.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
I have a question too.
So if I'm understanding the pitch for these, is that this would streamline work for our staff, freeing them up to do more things and providing more value for us across the board. It would streamline the experience for the residents of this town. As someone who has had to use permanent eyes, I can tell there's a lot of room to grow on that. It's not a great platform. And this seems win-win-win to me. This is the kind of thing that we should be investing in. As someone who has had to work with subpar tech platforms as part of his work before, this is the thing that this number might look big, but it is going to pay dividends across the spectrum by making life easier for our staff so they can actually get more work done and provide more service to the citizens of this town. Emily, I wanted to ask, what effect would this have on a project like putting together the data for the residential tax exemption? I know that's been kind of an issue of just like that is a big lift for you. Would having a different platform affect your ability to do something like that?
Pulling reports out of a new platform would be 1,000 times easier than the platform. The version I have right now is so old, it does not like to talk with Excel. So pulling reports and trying to get them into Excel, it tends to delete information or move information around. So now I have a value attached to the wrong house or the wrong location because it doesn't, the version we have now is meant for me to just hit PDF and then it just comes up. But as we all know, we want to be able to put them in Excel and organize them by you know, our class codes are called LUCs. I tend to organize reports based on that, which is like essentially separating them by single family, 2-family, 3-family, commercial. And it's, you know, yes, it would be a lot easier. Anything you guys would ask for, it would be so much easier if we had something more advanced.
Well, I think
And
that's
it
another.
helps. So, you know, I don't think a screenshot is in there. So the version we have right now doesn't keep track of second homes. It doesn't keep track of what exempt properties need 3 ABC forms. We are required to mail those out. And then it also doesn't keep track of exemptions. So if a senior gets an exemption, there's no, you know, I kind of, I manipulated the system into believing, like I use the social security line. I don't even know why camera systems have that, but they do. And I tend to like put numbers in there so I can keep track of things. The upgrade I'm asking for, keep tracks of all of that. It's in our ownership screen. I know it's really small and you can't see it from here. There's 3 lines and it says exemptions, second homes, or ABCs, and we can put like a yes or what exemption they're getting. So we could plug in 41D or 22, and then I can pull a report of how many people get exemptions, how many of these need 3 ABC forms. Right now, I pull all our exempt properties and then I have to fish through them. Not all of them need a 3 ABC form. So now I gotta fish through, okay, these ones don't need it, these ones need it. You know, it'll save time. Time is valuable when you're talking about people's salaries and how much work they do in their office. It's time cost. That's where you're gonna save. You're gonna save in the time.
And for real estate agents too, right?
And for real estate agents who constantly want information from me and it takes me 10 years to get it.
I can just-
Oh, good, finish up then, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just wanted to finish up with good points. Just thank you for all of that. I think you raised some great points. I mean, one, I think we're just RT is an example. It helps us to get the information we need to decide policy, to possibly provide relief to people to make this kind of project move faster, which I think there's a benefit to everyone. I think you're hinting at this is something that we need to do to be able to attract and retain staff, which is something we need to do to kind of make sure that we're providing the services that we need. And finally, just on the note of the idea of a hard year, it's always a hard year. Like it's never going to feel good to make these kind of calls, but like we need to do this. So thanks.
Everybody, Dorfman?
Okay. Bear with me. I don't know if this is going to be any bad mark on me, but here's a Liz. When you said the $90,000, the screen before, not the assessors. I'm all for Emily's working what she has to do and makes it easier for. That's great. But did you say the program that you had before the assessors was 90 grand?
Yeah, that's for the actual migration over. It is approximately, let me share my screen and I'll show it to you. That's for the permitting software, yeah. So it is a total of $90,000 that I'm asking for, but as you can see, the software is 42,000. It's the actual migration over from Permitize and incorporating GIS and also getting all of our non-electronic permits, licenses and everything. They will assist with getting everything into the system. So for building, health, licensing, all encompassing. So that's the $60,000 extra that is gonna go towards it.
And that was their quote.
Okay, well, I haven't finished speaking yet, Melena.
Sorry about that.
My concern is the homework that's being done. Now, this is going to go back a few years. People aren't going to like it, but in our infinite wisdom, we went and spent $10 million on a fire station, which we probably could have got for 6. We don't need a showroom. In their infinite wisdom, we put a flat roof on the top. During 10 years, it's leaking. $10 million, roof should not be leaking. It should have been built up or whatever. So I want to make sure we're doing all the homework. I want to make sure we're not spending top dollar on everything. And if we are, everything has been looked at sideways, upside down, in any way possible to make sure that this is right. But that has bothered me for years to think that, and I know the town voted in, obviously, but wowie kazowies. A lot of money spent there, and it wasn't used properly, obviously, or so we wouldn't have a leaking roof in 10 years on a $10 million fire station. So I just want to make sure we're doing our homework, we're looking at everything, and do we have to spend top dollar on everything? That's my thoughts.
Thanks, Garfield. Bill and then Melina.
So, first, Richard made some very important comments about sort of the context of all our questions, so I want to sort of salute him on that. Second, the way I look at this is, what we're not talking about tonight is the fact that this is all dependent on our revenue base. And we raise about $30.5 million property taxes. Which, the way I take your comments, Emily, and this is that right now, we're not really on top of our assessment system.
Yeah.
Okay. And we have high taxes now, and with the low high school and all the things we're talking about, our taxes are gonna go up. We all want them to go up less than more, but they're gonna go up. So if we don't have an assessment system that has credibility and accuracy across the town, that people can transparently examine online, ideally,
Yeah.
without harassing staff, or I say that, but, and we want people to have full access to this information. So the way I look at it is this assessment system is critical to, it's $40,000 to provide integrity to our $30 million in tax revenue.
That's right.
So that, to me, that's the way to look at it. And, the questions about cost savings for investing in the software are very well taken as well, but the reality is, we all know that doing in our town, all this permitting and everything about that process, just takes a long time.
It does.
And, you know, getting information about your assessment and questioning your assessment or appealing your assessment, that all takes a lot of time as well. So the way I look at it is that this software will bring us up into the whatever century we're in right now and allow us to really provide the transparency and the accuracy that this all requires, so.
Yeah, and touching base also back on the efficiency component of this, I forgot to mention that both of these softwares actually are, that you can use in the field. The current softwares that we have, you cannot actually use on a tablet to input data while you're in a field. Whereas these two softwares, because they talk to each other, a building inspector can go out and do an inspection on something, take photographs, upload it, even if they're not in the cell coverage area, Phil. They will, once they get back into cell coverage, it just automatically uploads in. And then the applicants can see that what the notes were for building inspections. Emily can be tied in, the health department can see that the building inspector was there, the fire department can see. So those are the things that this will be able to also utilize and be much more efficient with the investors that are coming into this community. And that is one of the rubs that I've been hearing is the time component of getting building permits and inspections done, and then the communication component of it. And this would just streamline, if people are willing to make the investments in our community and make the upgrades, that we can add more value to our property tax base. That is something that I feel, that's why it's in my recommendation for this year and aligned with the strategic goals.
And my last point is also, thank you, and it's also very helpful that this will allow us to track the array of property tax exemptions that we offer. That my sense is we don't have enough. We don't fully utilize those exemptions. They're not fully utilized by our community. I hope this will allow us to do that.
One other thing too that I just thought of with the new system, so. One of the challenges we've been having is getting wastewater and sewer bills, up to date with ownership and address changes that happen in our office. The new software, which is another line here at the top of the screen, it says, we can drop down this little menu and it says owner or address. And I can say owner, and then over here I can select today's date. And then at the end of the day, I can run a report of all the changes I made to owner or addresses, and I can send that report to wastewater, and they will know exactly, it'll tell them whether it's an owner or an address. And and the date that I changed it, and then what I changed, and then they can update, it's gonna eliminate some paper in our office, cause we print things out, we scan them over, it's just, but that's another component too, it would help us communicate better with wastewater.
Yeah, so, Emily, thank you for all this. I didn't realize the state of it. And I kind of echo what, Phil was saying, because I really feel this is like a kind of a mission critical, frankly, because if this is not accurate, we are like in a lot of trouble. So the question I have for you, just to make sure that I understood. So you're going to be replacing one of your software packages, correct? Okay, and what is the cost of that package? Do we pay anything for it, or is it all bundled, or do you see any saves there?
So to do the conversion would cost us 25,000.
I think what she's asking is, if we just went with the old system next year, how much would that be?
What are you gonna save when you drop
It's
it?
just the old system, and we just pay 4,000 every year.
4,000.
We know what we pay for.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. No, yeah, that's for sure. Okay, yeah, 4,000 a year. So you are gonna have a conversion cost, and then you're gonna have the cost of the new software, right? Yeah.
Conversion, and then the new annual fee for whichever version you went with. They all fall between $13,000 to $14,000 a year.
Okay, so it's not a second. So.
Yeah, and then you can minus the bridge, which I believe was 7,000. I don't.
So you're gonna be most likely, I mean, you will have a little bit of the conversion cost, but you will basically kind of equal it out, really, when you think about it, because you're not gonna be using the bridge and you're not gonna be.
Yeah, essentially.
Okay, and the other question I have is, you also had in your operating budget, you had these contracted services.
Yes.
Item. Do you see that with this gonna go down or is gonna disappear, or is this something that's totally unrelated to having an accurate data available to you?
Yeah, it depends on which vendor we go with.
Okay.
It depends. So if we did the upgrade with Tyler, yes, the valuation service contracted part of it would go down.
And do you have a sense for how much would be the offset between those two? You don't
So
know, okay.
what's gonna cost us for this year for FY 27 is 23,500. If we switch to Tyler, they do it on an hourly basis. And they don't let you exceed 10,000.
So there would be your
That is
top.
it's 125 to 149 hourly, and they don't let. They don't
Okay,
let
so it
you
would be there, there would be
exceed,
just your top cost there, then, yeah, okay, very good, thank you.
I wasn't going to say anything, but Rich was brave enough to speak up, and so has Garfield. This is a bad year, and every year is not a good year, but this is a particularly bad year. First off, we're not Pittsfield, and I work with a lot of Pittsfield people who aren't happy with their taxes up there. We're in a deficit, if I understand correctly, this year. The town manager is proposing a 2.5 override, which is going to greatly impact tax bills. We have the new school. As Rich pointed out, this is a particularly bad year. So even though I've supported the presentation, I mean, phenomenal work's been done, it is going to be a year of no on some things. And every year I listen to budget meetings. I hear this will save us money, this will save us time. I hear it every year. I go to all the budget meetings and I'm hearing it again this year, but we're still getting further in the hole. So when it comes time to go into thorough discussion of everything, when we do it, you're going to hear some no's. Even though the presentations have been outstanding, supporting, there's a point, I'm just hearing taxpayers that are coming to me, emailing me, calling me. I met with 3 this weekend that they're not gonna be able to afford their taxes. And there are people who do not qualify for exemptions. So I just, like I said, I do credit our chair for bringing this to the forefront as well as Garfield. And so it's just like I said, sometimes the town manager has done an exemplary job as the staff with the supporting documentation and all that. But a lot of the comments that are made, I've heard year after year after year, and things are getting financially worse and worse and worse, except it's impacting the taxpayer. So it's just like a broken record sometimes, but I just wanted to thank our chair for saying it out loud, and I appreciate that.
I agree, Michelle. I think and I know that, like, I gave you a menu to choose from, right? And you have to make the decision. I gave you my recommendations and you know best for what is for the community. That being said, when you are evaluating these and weighing out the pluses and minuses and where you really should be investing for the future, I will put it out there that I strongly recommend prioritizing investing in technology. I will stand by it firmly. The future, the convenience, the customer service internally as well as externally needs to be prioritized. And I will stand by that. If you cut anything, please do not cut technology. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's take a few minutes to discuss the rest of the agenda. I have 4 department heads sitting here. We've been here since 5 o'clock. First thing I would tell you is at the beginning of the meeting, we talked about April 7th, but we didn't make it. Put April 7th on your calendar if you don't mind, because we're not gonna get through this tomorrow night. So just put it down if no one objects, because it's just the way it's gonna be. We're gonna have to do the 7th, 8th, and 9th. So.
So we
the
lose the
other
7th. Okay.
You okay?
7th. You did say 7th, 8th, and 9th, correct, Stephen?
Correct.
Thank you.
April.
Thank you. Good,
So
thank you.
the other question is how late we wanna go tonight. I have 4 department heads here. It'll be 9, after 9 before we get done at this rate. Great discussion. We haven't done anything wrong, and I feel bad that they've been here all night, but they're probably stuck between a rock and a hard place. I won't speak for them. But they wanna get out of here, but they also don't wanna come back tomorrow night. But they don't wanna be here till 10 o'clock or 9:30 tonight either. So there's no right answer. But usually I end at 8 o'clock.
I agree with 8 o'clock. I have to be up at 4 and go to work tomorrow. I
Yeah, me too.
haven't eaten all day either, so.
I was at work at 5:30 this morning and
Not too bad for old people, right, Steve?
so, so that's the case. I could go in order and do the town clerk next, who is not here.
Yep,
that's
it
what
kind
I
of threw me as well.
Or I could have you guys flip a coin and do one of you. We can do one more.
What's well, who's here? The health,
I
the health
have
department.
Chris, I have Rebecca, Rebecca has a family, if that matters.
Yeah. You can say that, I agree.
Chris has no one, he just.
He has a dog.
You have to follow here. So this is gonna be the last one we do tonight, if no one objects. And that's gonna be health department.
I had $10 on that, we're gonna go to 8:30, I think you're doing this purposely.
Yeah. Of course I am.
8 o'clock, man. I gotta eat.
So, yeah, eat. You can do that tomorrow, right?
It's overrated,
So-
right? Eating is
No,
overrated.
it's overrated. Overrated. So I apologize to the rest of you for having to be here all night and then not getting to you. First, I do apologize. So, we will do the last one, which is health department. We'll start tomorrow night. Let Joe know that he won't be first tomorrow night. He can sleep in.
Already on.
And we may not get to him tomorrow night.
All right.
Okay.
So the health department, recommended or, proposed one item, and it's an inspector vehicle, and this is that, was also in the tally, it ranked fairly high, so all the departments understood the opportunities that this vehicle can support, not just the health department, but other departments, and I'll have Rebecca talk about that.
Yeah, so this idea came from the health department to function as an inspector vehicle, but the more that I talked about it with the town manager and other town staff, we recognize that there's a need for just a vehicle for town hall staff. We don't have a vehicle for town hall staff, and other departments, not just mine, do inspections, so I submitted a narrative explaining why the health department would need an inspector vehicle, but I think the broader intention is for it to be a general town hall inspector vehicle. That being said, the health department, if this does move forward in the budget, the health department would be the primary user of this vehicle. Normally we would have a health inspector who would be using the inspection vehicle quite a bit. Their job is kind of like 50% in the office, 50% out doing inspections. So I can talk about the reasons why it's a good idea to have a health inspector vehicle, but just in general, think of it as a town hall or additional vehicle for town staff.
Questions, Michelle?
This is one of those
It's a
I'm not
lot.
happy with, I'm sorry. Right, but I need a couple questions answered. So our personal vehicles being used right now,
Yes,
we're reimbursing mileage,
yes.
of course. In the process of doing their job, if there's an accident, what happens? What is the responsibility by the town? That's a huge one when you work for a school,
Yeah.
using personal vehicles. Also, keeping in mind there are related costs to owning a vehicle. As well, you know, our insurance costs and so forth. So could you respond to those
So the
questions?
insurance cost is roughly around $300 a year for a vehicle to be added. So depending on the vehicle, and we did do some soft calculations because that this would be something that not just the health department would use, but at the assessor's office when they're going out to actually reassess properties and look at things, the town manager's office, like all of these departments could actually utilize this vehicle. It's hard to kind of quantify or calculate the actual mileage. A lot of people don't actually reimburse mileage also.
That's what I was wondering, if
Yeah.
you do reimburse.
We do, but not everybody.
Claims it, no, I
Claims
don't,
it.
I don't.
Right,
Yeah, no,
right. I don't think I've
I know
ever
what
done
you're
it.
saying.
Right,
Yeah, I
so.
was just wondering if it was done.
Yeah.
As a practice.
Yeah, it is, and so this vehicle would be marked as well, so when you're going to an actual person, private resident. It can say the town of Great Barrington on it, so it's a little bit more professional as well as, that trust component of it, that it's not who's on my property, you can actually see that it is a town official that is driving a town vehicle. It's, yeah, so there's a lot of pluses and minuses. This is a want, but it is something that is certainly not going to just sit in, and we're gonna pay for a tool that isn't gonna be used. We also during interviews, that is a deterrent for people to, when they're considering having a 50% in the office, 50% out in the field job. When we're asking or that we're assuming that they are feeling comfortable using their personal vehicles, they actually are saying no thanks. And so we're losing some qualified applicants because we don't have an opportunity, we don't have a resource that they can use because they're being asked to use their personal vehicle. So so that was another reason for this, is that Rebecca has had some real challenges filling this position, and that is a significant number of people with feedback that we've asked, why are you turning this down? And that was one of the predominant reasons, was that we're not offering a vehicle for them to use. They have to use their personal vehicle.
We have looked at for using other vehicles from other departments, but they're generally all so far gone that they're not in good
I'm
shape
just
to
getting
be-
nervous with the vehicle requests. That they're really adding up to a lot, and we're not that big. We're big enough, but we're not that big.
Ben and Rich. Ben, go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of want to touch on what Liz was just bringing up. There's a lot of, you talk about how this would help with retention when it comes to the position. And I'm just kind of curious, Rebecca, what's the effect when we don't have a health inspector in place? Like, what does that do to our ability to kind of provide service?
Well,
When we're in between, yeah.
Me, fulfilling the role of the health inspector as well as my normal health agent responsibilities, and things naturally fall to the wayside. And whereas, like, when we have a health inspector, we can keep on a very like routine cyclical inspection basis. I think with food, our food establishments, as an example, they expect that the health inspector is going to be in there 2 to 3 times a year. When it's just me and I'm having to prioritize, or when folks are calling and emailing and, there's an emergency that I have to attend to, or something within a stricter deadline, those routine but very important type inspections fall off.
So without the ability to kind of keep someone in this role for a long term, we are essentially putting the health of the townsfolk at risk by not doing the inspections that we need to.
I'm just, I think when we lost our last health inspector and we've gone through a couple rounds of interviews, I'm trying to think creatively on how to retain staff. It is a burden on the health department to keep having the trained
health inspectors for them to just move on to greener pastures after a year or two. So again, this is a want. This is something that I think could really bolster the health department and make it more of an attractive job for folks to stay in long term.
Yeah, and sorry, just to wrap,
Yeah.
I do think this is an important thing. I think making these positions, like, we are big enough that we need to be competitive with larger markets. Like, we are a hard town to work for. And I think making investments like this go a long way to making sure we actually provide services. So
Thanks, Ben. Rich and Garfield.
Since we had a long discussion with the police department on rotating vehicles and buying newer vehicles, is a part of buying a new vehicle giving the old vehicle to that place as a buyback?
We have considered, but the trade-in, the police department isn't trading in their vehicle.
You're not trading it
They're
in.
not trading in it. That was one of the best things about actually having the department head review of the capital items was we asked about those. We asked those questions, and then when Rebecca did talk about the benefits of having or the health inspector vehicle, then a lot of departments said, well, I can use that vehicle too, right? When you're not using it. So there is some cross-pollination in utilizing this vehicle. For, like I said, Emily, for an assessor, she immediately chimed in saying, like, I'm using my personal vehicle and people see my personal card instead of it.
But towards my question,
Yeah, so the trade-in for the police vehicle is not, that was not in the proposal for this year, so we can't utilize the Ford Explorer to be used for this type of thing for this year.
but okay. I understood that it takes about a year for the purchase of a police cruiser
That's
to
correct.
come online, and the new one is coming online.
Yes.
And have you already what have you done with the old cruiser that's lost its ability to be used as a police cruiser?
It is still being used, so
So once the new vehicle comes online, where does the old vehicle go?
he's still retaining that one. It's not going offline, that's why he's.
Okay, are we replacing vehicles or are we buying new vehicles? I thought we were replacing vehicles. I mean, that is the way it's been told
Right, I
to
think
us.
it's clarification from.
If you could, that would be great, because if we were in a replacement vehicle thing, every year or 2 years, we would have a better vehicle that would be able to be used for this thing, and you could buy one of those magnetic panels that changes
Right.
what the vehicle is about.
And you have blue plates.
Garfield.
Yeah.
I lowered my hand.
Okay. Who else is up? Okay. Adam, I think, is on there. Adam, Chief Carlotta, go right ahead. Just unmute yourself.
Everybody got me now?
Yep, we do.
Yes, sir.
Just real quick clarification on the cruisers. Obviously,
No, we don't have you.
Can't
now.
hear you now.
we good now?
No,
Well, I can hear him out of the computer.
yeah, I can hear him on my end for the record.
let's try again.
All right, part 2, I'm back.
I didn't hear you.
Close
Chief, if you
enough.
speak
Go ahead
up
about
and
what you do with vehicles.
speak up.
Yeah, I'm working off my laptop. I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah,
good.
that's better.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's good. That's
Okay,
good.
great. So the cruiser we're replacing this year, by the time that new car gets in, that car will have over 10,000 engine hours, probably in the 140 K mile range. That's just not a viable vehicle, I think, to pass along. We normally see about a $2,000 value on the trade. That just kind of comes off the top of the upfit. That's where we're at with our line cruisers, which is our Explorers. I've always said if we do see a good candidate at some point, probably one of the Chevy Tahoes that could be, reappropriated to a different department, we definitely will. But that's more of a kind of a game day decision because of the lag time and the ordering.
Thank you, Chief. Anyone else? Okay, thank you, Buck. Citizens speak.
Steve?
Ian, go ahead.
Yeah, I know I'm not a citizen, but I thought there was time for committee members
There is,
speaking.
it's after citizens speak.
Oh, it is, never mind. Okay,
Okay.
it is.
Okay. Jim Garzone, go ahead.
This is James, 84 North Plain Road. It just seems, I'm going to say something that I normally don't say, but let's approve the 2.5%. Let's get Emily her new municipal software. Let's get the fire department the equipment that they need. Let's obviously get the police department their cars. Let's just put everything on the table. Let's do the RTE. Let's shift the tax burden to the 11%. Second homeowners and the people that exceed the threshold. Let's just do it all this year because this is just not going to get better. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone, Ian, you go ahead.
Yeah, I guess I just want to reiterate what Rich and Michelle were saying. I'm still struggling with that. When are we going to start talking about how we're going to, if we can avoid a 2.5 override and deal with, a 20% increase in taxes. I guess we're thinking the 7th, 8th, and 9th. Is that when we're going to start talking about that?
We can't start talking about it until we get through everything.
Yeah,
We have to talk about every item.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a larger discussion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
You're right. Yes.
But I just hope we can start talking about this because, again, I want to agree with what everybody else said. All the rationales for that everybody has come in front of us with are great and they're important. But we also, we have to go in front of the town, the residents of the town and say, this is what we're recommending as an increase. And it's going to be really hard. And I think we need to spend significant time talking about that as well. So I hope we can get to that soon.
Can't get to it until we get through every capital and everything, because we have to be educated before we can have the discussion. I mean, it's clear tonight that we spent 3 hours on half of the capital. If we had had the discussion first, people wouldn't have been informed.
I understand. I agree. I mean, maybe this is how the state requires it's done. I've just always found it odd that it's sort of everything gets brought to us after there's been all this vetting and it's important vetting, and then it's a sort of cut. And I've always felt it would have been so much more efficient if we sort of said, okay, here's the increase that we're willing to manage this year, and then we work out a budget. But maybe this is how the state does it. And
No, we asked the town manager to come to us with a budget that they think is necessary, and then we make a decision whether it's not. We can ask next year, you're right, and we can ask next year for level funded budget, we can ask for level services budget.
Yeah.
We can ask for a 2.5%, no more increase, and they'll come to us with what we ask for. But, what we assume, and I think it's happened every year, is that they'll come to us with a budget that they think have needs in it, not full of wants. And then we decide if it's reasonable, and reasonable is probably the wrong word, but it's been 3 hours, so it's a word I use.
yeah, I get it. Okay.
Yeah, Garfield.
All right. Yes, I think this is a couple of things. We'll try to be quick. I think of the elders. I am one. There's a lot of the elders in the room, but I think with the school, 2.5 is a bad idea. We'll talk about it later. But I just want to tell you, we have 7 fans down at the senior center. I played bingo down there. They asked me a bunch of questions. I gave them some answers. They applauded us. So we have 7 people that like us at the senior center.
All right, 7.
Thank you, Garfield. Anybody else on the finance or select board? Any media? We are adjourned by unanimous consent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.